does like the taste better.
I want more too.
Grape flavor Kool-Aid brand soft drink mix. The taste the leading canned drink can't match.
ربيع ربيع شريعتها والأفضل سبحان الربيع الأول سبحان الربيع الأول.
Senator Kennedy has been shot. Is that possible?
And against all reason, today the Jonestown story got much worse.
The original count of persons found dead at the Jonestown site has been found to be seriously in error. It now appears there may be as many as 780 bodies total found at the site. They were found simply buried under other bodies. There were larger adults that were grouped together, and under their bodies were found the bodies of smaller adults and children. As we began to work into the area and clear out the bodies that were visible, we kept discovering more and more and more.
Salutary kiss of greeting to your neighbor. Let's fill this atmosphere with warmth and love. How much I love you. How much I love you. Now as we meditate, God is love. Love is a healing remedy. We're going to reach out to areas where man has seemed to have difficulty. As we concentrate that the gifts of the Holy Spirit might function, or what the secularist might speak of as the paranormal, let us believe. Let us believe. Sister Ingram, you're concerned about the losing of your sight. You're not able to see me clearly. Things just blur to you. You have to stumble around lately through crowds and are not able to see even people's faces close up to you clearly.
That's true.
You've told me nothing about your condition. Is that
No,
correct?
I haven't.
Give that little sweetheart a little bit of love. Thank you, baby. Peace. Now, take your glasses off. Just dare in our faith. We've seen Sister Brown here who was blind, totally healed. We saw one of our sisters blind from her childhood. It could be hysterical blindness, whatever. We're not concerned. She was blind and could not see. Now, look at my face. I'm going to hold up some fingers. You concentrate hard. I love you. The people love you. And most importantly, Christ loves you. What do you see? How many fingers?
3.
finger. You don't even need your glasses, child. Let's all be thankful as she cries back there. Let's cry and rejoice with her.
There's nothing to worry about. Everybody keep calm and try and keep your children calm. And the older children can help love the little children and reassure them. Children aren't crying from pain. It's just a little bitter tasting, but they're not crying out of any pain.
It's hard. Only at first. Only at first is it hard. It's hard only at first. Living, you're looking at death. It only looks. Living is much more difficult. Raising up every morning and not knowing what's going to be the night's bringing. It's much more difficult. It's much more difficult.
Believe me.
James Warren Jones, born May 13th, 1931, died November 18th, 1978, was an American cult leader and mass murderer who led the People's Temple between 1955 and 1978. In what Jones termed revolutionary suicide, Jones and the members of his inner circle planned and orchestrated a mass murder-suicide in his remote jungle commune at Jonestown, Guyana, on November 18, 1978. Jones and the events that occurred at Jonestown have had a defining influence on society's perceptions of cults. As a child, Jones developed an affinity for Pentecostalism and a desire to preach. He was ordained as a Christian minister in the Independent Assemblies of God, attracting his first group of followers while participating in the Pentecostal Latter Rain movement and the Healing Revival during the 1950s. Jones's initial popularity arose from his joint campaign appearances with the movement's prominent leaders, William Branham and Joseph Matson Bowes, and their endorsement of his ministry. Jones founded the organization that would become the People's Temple in Indianapolis in 1955. In 1956, Jones began to be influenced by Father Divine and the Peace Mission movement. Jones distinguished himself through civil rights activism, founding the temple as a fully integrated congregation. In 1964, Jones joined and was ordained a minister by the Disciples of Christ. His attraction to the disciples was largely due to the autonomy and tolerance they granted to differing views within their denomination. In 1965, Jones moved the temple to California. The group established its headquarters in San Francisco, where he became heavily involved in political and charitable activity throughout the 1970s. Jones developed connections with prominent California politicians and was appointed as chairman of the San Francisco Housing Authority Commission in 1975. Beginning in the late 1960s, reports of abuse began to surface as Jones became increasingly vocal in his rejection of traditional Christianity and began promoting a form of anti-capitalism he called apostolic socialism and making claims of his own divinity. Jones became progressively more controlling of his followers in People's Temple, which at its peak had over 3,000 members. Jones's followers engaged in a communal lifestyle in which many turned over all their income and property to Jones and People's Temple, who directed all aspects of community life. Following a period of negative publicity and reports of abuse at People's Temple, Jones ordered the construction of the Jonestown commune in Guyana in 1974 and convinced or compelled many of his followers to live there with him. Jones claimed he was constructing a socialist paradise, free from the oppression of the United States government. By 1978, reports surfaced of human rights abuses and accusations that people were being held in Jonestown against their will. U.S. Representative Leo Ryan led a delegation to the commune in November of that year to investigate these reports. While boarding a return flight with some former Temple members who wished to leave, Ryan and 4 others were murdered by gunmen from Jonestown. Jones then ordered a mass murder-suicide that claimed the lives of 909 commune members. Almost all of the members died by drinking flavor aid laced with cyanide.
Come forth, my dear. Stand out. Take that step. Bless your heart. Take that step. Take that step. Now, move forward. Move forward. Move forward. Move forward. Move forward. Move forward, darling. You can do it. Move forward. Move forward. Child, sweetheart, would you step out of there just a moment so I can just keep my love crawling? Now, move forward. Freely, freely, freely. Now begin to exercise the hip. Begin to exercise the joint. I love you. Christ loves you. The people love you. Now, sisters, walk briskly. Walk briskly. Walk.
But in spite of all of that I've tried, a handful of our people, with their lives, have made our life impossible. There's no way to detach ourselves from what's happened today. Not only we're in a compound situation, not only are there those who have left and committed the betrayal of the century. Some have stolen children from others, and they're in pursuit right now to kill them because they stole their children. And we are sitting here waiting on a powder keg. I don't think this is what we want to do with our babies. I don't think that's what we had in mind to do with our babies. It was said by the greatest of prophets from time immemorial, no man takes my life from me, I lay my life down. So to sit here and wait for the catastrophe that's going to happen on that airplane, it's going to be a catastrophe. Almost happened here. The world, the kingdom suffereth violence, and the violence shall take it by force. If we can't live in peace, then let's die in peace. We've been so betrayed. We have been so terribly betrayed.
But we try tried, and this Jack beamed off and said, I don't know where he's at right this moment. Where's Jack? He said, if this only worked one day, it was worthwhile.
James Warren Jones was born on May 13, 1931, in the rural community of Crate, Indiana, to James Thurman Jones, born 1887 and died 1951, and Lynetta Putnam, born 1902 and died 1977. Jones was of Irish and Welsh descent. He and his mother both claimed to also have some Cherokee ancestry, but there's no evidence of this. Jones's father was a disabled World War I veteran who suffered from severe breathing difficulties due to injuries which he sustained in a chemical weapons attack. He tried to augment his income by occasionally working on neighborhood road repair projects because the military pension he earned due to his wounds was insufficient to support his family. His father's illness led to financial difficulties, which in turn resulted in intense marital problems between Jones's parents. In 1934, in the midst of the Great Depression, the Jones family was evicted from their home for failure to make mortgage payments. The relatives purchased a shack for them to live in at the nearby town of Lynn. The new home, where Jones grew up, lacked plumbing and electricity. In Lynn, the family attempted to earn an income through farming, but again met with failure when Jones's father's health further deteriorated. The family often lacked adequate food and relied on financial support from their extended family. They sometimes resorted to foraging in the nearby forest and fields to supplement their diet. According to multiple Jones biographers, his mother had, quote, no natural maternal instincts, unquote, and she frequently neglected her son. When Jones started to attend school, his extended family threatened to cut off their financial assistance unless his mother got a job, forcing her to work outside her home. Meanwhile, Jones's father was hospitalized multiple times due to his illness. As a result, Jones's parents were frequently absent during his childhood. Although his aunts and uncles lived close by and gave him some supervision, Jones often wandered the streets of the town, sometimes naked. Jones was cared for by the female residents of Lynn, and they frequently invited him into their houses to give him food, clothing, and other gifts. Myrtle Kennedy, the wife of the Nazarene Church's pastor, developed a special attachment to Jones. She gave Jones a Bible and encouraged him to study it, teaching him to follow the holiness code of the Nazarene Church. As Jones grew older, he attended services at most of the churches in Lynn, often going to multiple churches each week, and he was baptized in several of them. Jones developed a desire to become a preacher as a child, and he began to practice preaching in private. His mother claimed that she was disturbed when she caught him imitating the pastor of the local Apostolic Pentecostal church, and she unsuccessfully attempted to prevent him from attending the church's services. Although they had sympathy for Jones because of his poor circumstances, his neighbors reported that he was an unusual child who was obsessed with religion and death. Jones regularly visited a casket manufacturer in Lynn and held mock funerals for roadkill that he collected. Wow. That's as endearing as it is creepy. One neighbor of the Jones family even stated that Jones killed a cat with a knife for one of these funerals. When he could not get any children to attend his funerals, he would perform the services alone. This is so sad. Oh my God. I didn't know this. Jones claimed to have unique abilities, such as the capacity to fly. He once leaped off a building's roof to demonstrate his abilities to others, but he fell and broke his arm. he nonetheless persisted in saying he had exceptional abilities despite the fall. That is so fucking symbolic of this whole story, right there. At times, he would put other children into life-threatening situations and tell them he was guided by the angel of death. Jones allegedly committed countless sacrilegious pranks in the churches he attended as a boy. According to claims he made in adult life, he claimed that he had stolen the Pentecostal minister's Bible and had covered Acts 2:38 with cow manure. He also asserted that he substituted a cup of his own urine for the holy water once at a Catholic church. One Jones biographer suggested that he developed his unusual interests because he found it difficult to make friends. It's not relatable at all. Although his strange religious practices stood out the most to his neighbors, they reported that he misbehaved in more serious ways. He frequently stole candy from merchants in the town. Oh no! His mother was required to pay for his thefts. Jones regularly used offensive profanity, commonly greeting his friends and neighbors by saying, "Good morning, you son of a bitch," or "Hello, you dirty bastard." Similar to his mother, Lynetta, who frequently swore in public and found amusement in people being offended at a woman cursing. Jones's mother usually beat him with a leather belt in order to punish his misbehavior. Jones also developed an intense interest in social doctrines. He became a voracious reader who studied Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Karl Marx, and Mahatma Gandhi. Jones would tell his wife that Mao Zedong was his hero. He spent hours in the community library, and he brought books home so he could read them in the evenings. Although he studied different political systems, Jones did not espouse any radical political views in his youth. But as World War II started, Jones developed an intense interest in the Nazi Party. He was fascinated by their pomp, their cohesion, and Hitler's total power. The members of his neighborhood found it disconcerting that he extolled Nazi Germany. Jones acted as a dictator over the other kids, ordering them to goose step together and beating those who disobeyed. One childhood friend recalled Jones shouting, "Heil Hitler!" and giving the Nazi salute to German prisoners of war who were traveling through their town on their way to a detention facility. Commenting on his childhood, Jones stated, quote, "I was ready to kill by the end of the 3rd grade. I mean, I was so aggressive and hostile. I was ready to kill. Nobody gave me love, any understanding." In those days, a parent was supposed to go with a child to school functions. There was some kind of school performance, and everybody's parent was there but mine. I'm standing there, alone, always was alone. Tim Reiterman, a journalist and biographer of Jones, wrote that Jones's attraction to religion was strongly influenced by his desire for a family. Jones went to see the Kennedy family in 1942, where they spent the summer in Richmond, Indiana. They took part in services 4 times a week while attending a summer religious convention at a nearby Pentecostal church. When Jones returned to Lynn in the fall, he upset his neighbors by explaining sexual reproduction in detail to young children. Jones's mother was urged to control his behavior by many individuals in Lynn, but she refused. Many parents decided to keep their kids away from Jones as a result of the issue. He had established himself as an outcast among his friends by the time he started high school and was progressively despised by the locals.
people's lives in my hands, and I certainly don't want your life in my hand. But I'm going to tell you, Christine, without me, life has no meaning. I'm the best friend you'll ever have. And once I have to pay, I'm standing with you, Jara. I'm standing with those people.
I like the Christian life. My buddies tell me that I should have waited. They say I'm missing a whole world of fun. But I am happy and I sing with pride. I like the Christian life. I won't lose a friend by heeding God's call. For what is a friend who'd want you to fall? Others find pleasure in things I despise. I like the Christian life.
We saw every color of the rainbows. They seeded people black, white, black, white.
In the 50s, the early 60s, oh geez, that was a lot of racial tensions and problems. And to go into people's temple, it wasn't there.
To see this young, hard black man hugging to some young white kid who knows nothing of the ghetto, I'm there to stay. You know, I want that.
It was striking that Jim Jones insisted that his congregation be integrated, and he was attacked for it. We were a long ways away from the Civil Rights Act, and so he was quite unusual for that era.
Really, it's beautiful to see that all these divisions have been broken down. Just a warm fellowship and acceptance of all people.
And they followed him because he gave them something that wasn't there. He gave them a belief in themselves. He gave them a belief in an organization that was doing things for the fellow man.
I like the Christian
To show mankind the road to freedom.
In high school, Jones continued to stand out from his peers. Jones went by the nickname Jimmy during his youth, and almost always carried his Bible with him. Jones was a good student who enjoyed debating with his teachers. He also had the habit of refusing to respond to anyone who spoke to him first, and only engaged in conversations when he started them. In contrast to his peers, Jones was known to dress in his Sunday church clothes every day of the week. His religious views alienated him from other young people. He frequently confronted them for drinking beer, smoking, and dancing. At times, he would even interrupt other young people's events and insist that they read the Bible with him. Jones did not enjoy participating in sports because he detested losing, so he coached teams for younger children instead.
What started as a joke 100 years ago, when a group of men donned bedsheets for a romp, has over the years attracted to it persons charged with acts of harassment, intimidation, and violence throughout the South. Even though the nation has been outraged for many years, the Ku Klux Klan persists with its bizarre ritual and trappings. But 100 years is a long time for a joke.
Jones was disturbed by the treatment of the African Americans who were in attendance at a baseball game he attended in Richmond, Indiana.
This is a Nighthawk of the United Klans in North Carolina. A Nighthawk is responsible for the security of a clavern.
Why did you join the Klan?
Well, I've got a wife, 5 kids. I think that's enough reason. I want them to have a country to be raised up in like I was. I wasn't forced to go to school with niggers. I wasn't forced to eat with them. And I want them to have at least the right that I had.
From the Communist Party, from the Zionist Christ-killing Jews. And I say Christ-killing Jews because they have not been a flood since they crucified Christ, and their relatives can be traced back to the ones that's running the streets today.
Some groups have paramilitary units, such as this one in North Carolina. Grand Dragon Jones security guards are trained to take care of anything that might happen at Klan rallies. The Klan also sponsors softball teams. Since softball can't be played in robes, KKK letters appear on the uniform to remind the spectators that this team is made up of 100% pure white American Protestant ball players. Sometimes Klansmen engage in more bizarre sport. The letters KKK were carved with a penknife on the chest and stomach of this man in Houston, Texas, after he had been hanged by his knees from an oak tree and flogged with a chain.
The events at that baseball game brought discrimination against African Americans to Jones's attention and influenced his strong aversion to racism. Jones's father belonged to the Indiana branch of the Ku Klux Klan, which enjoyed considerable support in Indiana during the Great Depression. Jones described how he and his father had a disagreement about race and added that they had not spoken for, quote, many, many years, unquote, as a result of his father's forbidding one of Jones's black friends from entering his home. Jones's parents separated in 1945, and they eventually divorced. Jones moved to Richmond, Indiana with his mother, where he graduated from Richmond High School in December 1948, early and with honors. Jones and his mother lost the financial support of their relatives following the divorce. To support himself, Jones began working as an orderly at Richmond's Reed Hospital in 1946. Jones began dating a nurse in training named Marceline May Baldwin while he was working at Reed Hospital. Jones moved to Bloomington, Indiana in November 1948, where he attended Indiana University Bloomington with the intention of becoming a doctor, but changed his mind shortly thereafter. During his time at university, Jones was impressed by a speech that Eleanor Roosevelt, who was fucking badass by the way, delivered about the plight of African Americans, and he began to espouse support for communism and other radical political views for the first time.
I'm very glad to be able to take part in this celebration in St. Louis on Human Rights Day. Ever since the Declaration of Human Rights, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, was passed in Paris in 1948 on December the 10th, we have fostered the observance of this day not only in the United States, but throughout the world. The object is to make people everywhere conscious of the importance of human rights and freedoms. The reason for that is that these are spoken of and emphasized in the Charter of the United Nations, and the Declaration was written to elaborate the rights already mentioned in the Charter, and to emphasize also for all of us the fact that the building of human rights would be one of the foundation stones on which we would build in the world an atmosphere in which peace could grow. These things must be well understood, because even though you accept treaties and countries ratify those treaties, the real change which must give to people throughout the world their human rights must come about in the hearts of people. We must want our fellow human beings to have rights and freedoms which give them dignity and which will give them a sense that they are human beings that can walk the earth with their heads high and look all men in the face. If we observe these rights for ourselves and for others, I think we will find that it is easier in the world to build peace, because war destroys all human rights and freedoms. So in fighting for those, we fight for peace.
Jones and Baldwin continued their relationship while he attended college, and the couple married on June 12, 1949. Their first home was in Bloomington, where Marcelin worked at a nearby hospital while Jones attended college. Marcelin was a Methodist, and she and Jones immediately fell into arguments about church. Jones's strong opposition to the Methodist Church's racial segregation practices was an early strain on their marriage, and throughout the duration of their relationship, Jones frequently, emotionally, and psychologically abused Marcelin. Jones insisted on attending Bloomington's Full Gospel Tabernacle, but eventually compromised and began attending a local Methodist church on most Sunday mornings. Despite attending churches every week, Jones privately pressed his wife to accept atheism. Throughout the years, Jones's marriage was affected by his insecurity. He often felt the need to test Marcelin's love and loyalty, and at times, he used sadistic methods to do so. One recurring tactic he used was to tell her that one of her close friends or family members had suddenly died, and then comfort her over the loss, before finally admitting to her the story was untrue. After attending Indiana University for 2 years, the couple relocated to Indianapolis in 1951. Jones took night classes at Butler University to continue his education, finally earning a degree in secondary education in 1961. In 1951, the 20-year-old Jones began attending gatherings of the Communist Party USA in Indianapolis. Jones and his family faced harassment from government authorities for their affiliation with the Communist Party during 1952. Jones later asserted that in one event, his mother was harassed by FBI agents in front of her coworkers because she had attended a communist meeting with her son. Jones became frustrated with the persecution of communists in the U.S. Reflecting back on his participation in the Communist Party, Jones said that he asked himself, quote, "How can I demonstrate my Marxism?" The thought was, infiltrate the church, unquote.
The only thing that brings perfect justice, freedom, and equality, perfect love in all of its beauty and holiness is socialism.
In early 1952, Jones announced to his wife and her family that he would become a Methodist minister, believing the church was ready to, quote, put real socialism into practice, unquote. Jones was surprised when a Methodist district superintendent helped him get a start in the church, even though he knew Jones to be a communist. In the summer of 1952, Jones was hired as a student pastor to the children at the Somerset Southside Methodist Church, where he launched a project to create a playground that would be open to children of all races. Jones continued to visit and speak at Pentecostal churches while serving as a Methodist student pastor. In early 1954, Jones was dismissed from his position in the Methodist Church, ostensibly for stealing church funds, though he later claimed he left the church because its leaders forbade him from integrating African Americans into his congregation. Around this time, in 1953, Jones visited a Pentecostal Latter-rain Convention in Columbus, Indiana, where a woman prophesied that Jones was a prophet. Like other followers of William Branham, Jones began to look for a way to escape the destruction he believed was imminent. In January 1962, he read an Esquire magazine article that purported South America to be the safest place to reside to escape any impending nuclear war. Jones decided to travel to South America to scout for a site to relocate People's Temple. Jones frequently warned his followers of an imminent apocalyptic nuclear race war. He claimed that Nazis and white supremacists would put people of color into concentration camps. Jones said he was a messiah sent to save people. He taught his followers the only way to escape the supposed imminent catastrophe was to accept his teachings, and after the apocalypse was over, they would emerge to establish a perfect communist society. Historians are divided over whether Jones actually believed his own teachings or was just using them to manipulate people. Jeff Gwynne said, quote, "It is impossible to know whether Jones gradually came to think he was God's earthly vessel or whether he came to that convenient conclusion to enhance his authority over his followers." In a 1976 interview, Jones claimed to be an agnostic and/or atheist. Marcelin stated in a 1977 New York Times interview that Jones was trying to promote Marxism in the U.S. by mobilizing people through religion. She said Jones called the Bible a, quote, paper idol, unquote, and that he wanted to destroy it. Jones taught his followers that the ends justify the means and authorized them to achieve his vision by any means necessary. Outsiders would later point to this aspect of Jones's teachings to allege that he did not genuinely believe in his own teachings, but was, quote, morally bankrupt and only manipulating religion and other elements of society to achieve his own selfish ends.
If you're going to commit treason, you better be sure you know what you're dealing with. Because after we were all dead over here, you might go to a social party after you're trying to get your little reward, your little 30 pieces of silver for selling out the greatest people on earth. And you walk in with the Judas tribe, and the wife of Judas might be one of the ladies I'd laid to make a socialist. And she might give you slow poison in your champagne. You don't know how clever I am. One thing you've all done is underestimate me. I made plans for treason long ago because I knew I couldn't trust nothing. I knew I couldn't trust anything but communism and the principle in me, yes, Westview. I knew that that's what I had to depend upon, not depend upon the arm of the flesh, and never put all your eggs in one basket. So, honey, I put my eggs in many places. But I look at my faults analytically. Sure, you got to love principle, but don't say, hate is my enemy. What does it say? What's that word? Hate is mine, and I got to fight it day and night. And what else is the line? Love is the only weapon. Shit! Bullshit! Martin Luther King died with love. Kennedy died talking about something he couldn't even understand, some kind of generalized love, and he never even backed it up. He shut down. Bullshit! Love is the only weapon with which I got to fight. I got a hell of a lot of weapons to fight. I got my claws, I got compasses, I got guns, I got dynamite, I got a hell of a lot to fight. I'll fight, I'll fight, I will fight, I will fight, I will fight, I will fight. Let them hear it in the night. Let the night roll with it. They're out there. They're out there. They're listening. Let the night roar with it. Let the night roar, because they can hear us. They know we mean it. We'll kill them if they come.
Jim Jones became very much involved in a struggle for power and enormous ego, even though he denied having an ego. I don't know if I met any greater egotist than Jim Jones. He got sidetracked and just went down a dead-end street.
My father used to tell me that people's lives, 60% of people's lives, were made on emotional decisions. Make your decisions, 60% of your decisions, based on logic, fact, and reason. And allow emotion to be the secondary motivator. And we were Star Trek fans. He and I were Star Trek fans. And he used to always say, just vulcanize yourself. Just vulcanize yourself.
Dwyer? I'm not talking about you, Jara. I said Dwyer. Ain't nobody gonna take you, Jara. I'm not letting them take you, Jara. Gather in, folks. It's easy. It's easy. Yes, my love.
Unable to find a location he deemed suitable for People's Temple, Jones became plagued by guilt for abandoning the civil rights struggle in Indiana. During the year of his absence, regular attendance at People's Temple declined to less than 100. Jones demanded the People's Temple send all its revenue to him in South America to support his efforts, and the church went into debt to support his mission. In late 1963, Archie Imes sent word that the temple was about to collapse and threatened to resign if Jones did not return soon. Jones reluctantly returned to Indiana. Jones arrived in December 1963 to find People's Temple bitterly divided. Financial issues and low attendance forced Jones to sell the People's Temple church building and relocate to a smaller building nearby. To raise money, Jones briefly returned to the revival circuit, traveling and holding healing campaigns with latter rain groups. Possibly to distract People's Temple members from the issues facing their group, he told his Indiana congregation that the world would be engulfed by nuclear war on July 15, 1967.
We interrupt this program. This is a national emergency. Important instructions will follow.
Leading to a new socialist Eden on Earth, and that the temple must move to Northern California for safety. During 1964, Jones made multiple trips to California to find a suitable location to relocate. In July 1965, Jones and his followers began moving to their new location in Redwood Valley, California, near the city of Ukiah. In 1968, the People's Temple California location was admitted to the Disciples of Christ. Jones began to use the denominational connection to promote People's Temple as part of the 1.5 million member denomination. He played up famous members of the Disciples, including Lyndon Johnson and J. Edgar Hoover, and misrepresented the nature of his position in the denomination. By 1969, Jones increased the membership in People's Temple in California to 300. Jones taught that, quote, those who remain drugged with the opiate of religion had to be brought to enlightenment, unquote, which he defined as socialism. Jones asserted that traditional Christianity had an incorrect view of God. By the early 1970s, Jones began deriding traditional Christianity as a flyaway religion, rejecting the Bible as being a tool to oppress women and non-whites.
He said, a lot of you people, you Christian people come in, you're so hung up on this Bible. He said, this black book has held down black people for the last 200 years. He said, but I'm going to show you this has no power. So he leaned way back like a football player and he flung it. And when he flung it and let it go, the place got dead quiet. And he waited till it hit the floor. Pow! When it hit the floor, he stood and he looked back and forth. He said, now, did you see any lightning come from the sky and strike me dead?
You're going to help yourself or you'll get no help. There's only one hope of glory. That's within you. Nobody's going to come out of the sky. There's no heaven up there. We'll have to make heaven down here.
Jones referred to traditional Christianity's view of God as a, quote, sky god, who was, quote, no God at all, unquote. Instead, Jones claimed to be God, and no God beside him. Jones increasingly promoted the idea of his own divinity, going so far as to tell his congregation that I am come as God's socialist, unquote. Jones carefully avoided claiming divinity outside of People's Temple, but he expected to be acknowledged as godlike among his followers. Former Temple member Hugh Fortson Jr. quoted him as saying, "What you need to believe in is what you can see. If you see me as your friend, I'll be your friend. If you see me as your father, I'll be your father, for those of you who don't have a father. If you see me as your savior, I'll be your savior. If you see me as your God, I'll be your God." Further attacking traditional Christianity, Jones authored and circulated a tract entitled "The Letter Killeth," criticizing the King James Bible and dismissing King James VI and I as an alcoholic and slave trader who oppressed our early Americans. Jones further claimed that as such, there was a need for a prophet sent from God to properly interpret his teachings. Jones rejected even the few required tenets of the Disciples of Christ denomination. Instead of implementing the sacraments as prescribed by the disciples, Jones followed Father Divine's Holy Communion practices. Jones created his own baptismal formula, baptizing his converts in the holy name of socialism. Explaining the nature of sin, Jones stated, quote, "If you're born in capitalist America, racist America, fascist America, then you're born in sin. If you're born in socialism, you're not born in sin." Drawing on a prophecy in the book of Revelation, he taught that American capitalist culture was irredeemable Babylon.
Are your fingers numb? In your right hand. Having enormous headaches in your head.
Yes.
Reach your hands out. Reach your hand out to me. Reach the fingers out that are bothering you. Now, is the pain gone?
By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. There we wailed when we remembered Zion. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down.
The American banners are nothing like these.
When we remembered Zion.
Jones began using illicit drugs after moving to California, which further heightened his paranoia. He increasingly used fear to control and manipulate his followers.
This is not a regular meeting night. It's called a trouble meeting night. We call for trouble. We have 2 meetings a week, and that's what the hell we'd like to have. so we can have some peace. As a movie's supposed to be, as refreshments, start serving the refreshments, serve them out. We try to keep some humanity in the middle of a warfare. But as obviously, as you know, Cuba was surrounded for 10 years. We got no reason to complain. We're surrounded with a few enemies. Show shit. Cuba was surrounded, and they had the CIA put seeds in their clouds and drowned their crops and bombed them. Ah, fuck it. Was of a bitch.
Somebody's sitting on the plug or something.
Please. Now, Marcia and I was in Cuba when they bombing children every day and night. The United States denied it was happening. So we got no complaints. Cuba went through that for 10 years. Angolan people have been going through it. They won their liberation. Ethiopian people just fighting every day for their freedom. So we got no complaint that we have a few excursions now and then. But I try to make it hospitable as it's possible. I said tonight I guess it's cake. We try to have movies and things, and we want music. And we never did decide the thing of music. But I deal with one issue that I don't like what I see in this place. I'm going to be frank with you. I'll live with you. I don't like this fucking attitude that, by God, we got to take the world as it is. We can't change it. That's what I hear out of some of you people so much. God, take the world. Can't change it. Can't find good music because everybody's a fucker. Can't find good literature because ain't nobody that writes the principle. What I really think you want to say, excuse my feeling, it may be wrong. I think you want to say is, I want to justify what the fuck I want to do by saying that I cannot find enough people like Victor Haar. And I'm saying if you were really principled and Victor Haar is the only man that was tortured in a concentration camp, then night, noon, and day, that's all the fuck you'd ever hear was Victor Haar. I knew that wouldn't go over very well, but that's my feeling.
Is the torturing and death of the folk singer Victor Jara. The military government detained Jara in the days following the coup. He, along with many other leftists, were held in Estadio Nacional, or the National Stadium of Chile, in the capital of Santiago. Initially, the junta tried to silence him by crushing his hands, but ultimately he was murdered.
Aprieto firme mi mano y hundo el arao en la tierra. Hace años que llevo en ella como nuestra gota.
I ain't gonna compromise with this liberal bourgeois shit. I don't care where it comes from. You may get by with it in terms of voting legislation. I'll give you the prerogative because I don't like leadership anyway. I'll lead to protect. Although the only reason I get indignant, I wonder how much you let this bourgeois shit parade itself. It doesn't encourage others. You got to be awful careful about dissent. Dissent better be over something mighty crucial. Mighty crucial. Start some shit on music and get in a tirade tonight about all that bullshit. You understand what I'm saying?
Jones frequently warned his followers that there was an enemy seeking to destroy them. The identity of that enemy changed over time, from the Ku Klux Klan to Nazis to redneck vigilantes, and finally, the American government. He frequently prophesied that fires, car accidents, and death or injury would come upon anyone unfaithful to him and his teachings. He constantly pressed his followers to be aggressive in promoting and fulfilling his beliefs. Jones established a planning commission made up of his lieutenants to direct the People's Temple's communal lifestyle. Jones, through the planning commission, began controlling all aspects of the lives of his followers. Members who joined People's Temple turned over all their assets to the church in exchange for free room and board. The first known cases of serious abuse in People's Temple arose in California as the Planning Commission carried out discipline against members who were not fulfilling Jones's vision or following the rules. Jones's control over the members of People's Temple extended to their sex lives and who could not be married. Some members were coerced to get abortions. Jones began to require sexual favors from the women of the church and raped several male members of his congregation. Members who rebelled against Jones's control were punished with reduced food rations, harsher work schedules, public ridicule and humiliations, and sometimes with physical violence. As the temple's membership grew, Jones created an armed security group to ensure order among his followers and to guarantee his own personal safety. Jones began to receive negative press beginning in October 1971 when reporters covered one of Jones's divine healing services during a visit to his old church in Indianapolis. The news report led to an investigation by the Indiana State Psychology Board into Jones's healing practices in 1972. A doctor involved in the investigation accused Jones of, quote, quackery and challenged Jones to give tissue samples of the material he claimed fell off people when they were healed of cancer. The investigation caused alarm within the temple. Jones had been performing faith-healing miracles since his joint campaigns with William Branham. On several occasions, his healings were revealed as nothing but a hoax. In one incident, Jones drugged temple member Irene Mason, and while she was unconscious, a cast was put on her arm. When she regained consciousness, she was told she had fallen and broken her arm and had been taken to the hospital. In a subsequent healing service, Jones removed her cast in front of the congregation and told them she was healed. In other instances, Jones had someone from his inner circle enter the prayer line for healing of cancer. After being healed, the person would pretend to cough up their tumor, which was actually a chicken gizzard. Jones also pretended to have special revelations about individuals which revealed supposed hidden details of their lives. In 1973, Ross Case, a former follower of Jones, began working with a group in Ukiah to investigate People's Temple. They uncovered a staged healing, the abusive treatment of a woman in the church, and evidence that Jones raped a male member of his congregation. Reports of Case's activity reached Jones, who became increasingly paranoid that the authorities were after him.
Some of you stage things to defend yourself, or in council meetings, here or in Monday night meetings. You stage setups to make yourself look good. Whatever it is, it's still a form of treason. And I'm afraid of it. I'm getting so terrified of it, I don't even feel close to some people I ought to feel. People who put me in a bad light, or attempt to, consciously or unconsciously, rather than to admit the one thing that has been said, and I repeat, and no one can be any more honest than this with you. I have never done anything with any of you, whatever it was, at any time, that it was not to bring you to some growth. I never take advantage of any human being. Never have made any human being do anything. So don't pose any kind of situations like that. But it makes me feel grossly uncomfortable. Maybe at the time I can't tell you what I'm doing. But it's a testimony to your strength that I work with you. Bring out things in your mind. Let you see yourself. Expose things about you to yourself that'll make you stronger to help others. Because no one that doesn't know themselves is not worth a salt. They can't lead anybody at any time unless they know themselves. And I don't see very much carryover here of what I'd hope. Of really knowing oneself. I said I'm disappointed from Sunday to Monday night. I was disappointed. I was really disappointed from Sunday until Monday night.
in council situations that came back to my attention. Not because anyone volunteered it to me or brought it to me, but because I had to get it. And I'm really weary with this, and I want to say that Father Jones is calm, but that's the most dangerous time. The calm comes just before the storm. I'm about ready to blow. I'd like for you to talk it over and over and over till you get in your mind. You see, I have to give so much of my body and my mind that if anyone will be sick, it'll be I. If anyone will be bearing infirmities or aging, it'll be me, because I have to take on everybody's problems. If I didn't, I would never age. I think I could really whip it. I've got the keys. I really got the keys to immortality. But instead of keeping it, I'm opening it up as much as I can for you. But the risk is in opening it for you, I lose it for myself. And I don't mind that whatsoever if you become what I am in principle. If you become the kind of sensitive being that I am, then I'm happy to lose my life. Some of you think it's easy being God. You know, I can help people, I can help myself. Well, I can't. There might be such a thing that I would be drawn on by such a number of disloyalties as this, or the disloyalties that I've seen the last 3 days, but I could have a stroke. Instructions are given. You face living long lives. Some of you are young, you've got lives ahead of you. I face things like having to have the cyanide in the right place.
Case reported his findings to the local police, but they took no action. Shortly after, 8 members of People's Temple made accusations of abuse against the Planning Commission and People's Temple staff members. They accused members of Planning Commission of being homosexuals and questioned their true commitment to socialism before leaving the People's Temple. Jones became convinced he was losing control and needed to relocate People's Temple to escape the mounting threats and allegations.
I said I can do anything for socialism. Do anything. By inclination, the only thing I can do is to be an aggressive heterosexual with a man or woman. I don't care whatever you want to be. You be the woman. I would do that for socialism. Anything else I do further than that would have to be purely because I'm willing to do it for socialism. But I would do anything in the world to save you. If some bunch of fools wanted to take me as the last living sexual identity, wanted to crucify that, I'd let them do it very quickly rather than fight with them, because I know that preparing my body, keeping my body alive for you, is far more important than fighting somebody off from raping me. That wouldn't be of the least consequence to me. But if you want me, my orientation, I have told you, is that. I've told you what my orientation is. I'm not interested in anything else but being, I'm a driving, thriving leader, a principled leader. Principled.
On December 13th, 1973, Jones was arrested and charged with lewd conduct for allegedly masturbating in the presence of a male undercover LAPD vice officer in a movie theater restroom near Los Angeles' MacArthur Park. On December 20th, 1973, the charge against Jones was dismissed, though the details of the dismissal are not clear. The court file was sealed, and the judge ordered that records of the arrest be destroyed.
We told him when she started shit, we were trying to make, be nice and win people. We said, write a nice letter. The fucking letter. It was a goddamn letter. Had to rewrite it 4 times to get it to be nice. You fucking bitch, you don't mess with me, I'll kill you.
So since I've been here, I've grown stronger, and I realize that there's no family like the one I have now. And I'd rather not even think of him as being part of my family. I like to buy a big white church and put all of them in it and blow it up.
A big white church. Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
I like to take my so-called dad and my sister and stab them to death with a pair of scissors and run them piece by piece through a garbage disposal.
I believe in that kind of killing.
Everyone wants blessings and protections like that, and miracles like you have witnessed here time and time again, every day. But not everyone is willing to do all they can to further God's work. Giving in tithes and offerings is like priming a pump so that blessings can flow from God to you. If you don't prime the pump enough, you cut off your very source of life and health, as we have seen happen so many times with those who have failed, who have held back and robbed God. Remember, we reap what we sow, and this is the most fertile ground on earth, the best place for sowing our seeds of giving. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Is your treasure out there in the world with material possessions and self-indulgent, lustful living? Or is it here where there's greater love than you have ever known? Now is the time for you to decide.
Where the cancer is healed also. That's it. It healed the eye that was lost to sight, and it healed the tumor. Right here, there she is. Blessed, blessed, blessed. So free. I presume that was she, but I wanted to be sure. It's just wonderful. These are the kind of testimonies that are coming in by the hundreds, where the picture becomes a contact. And something certainly much easier if you visualize God working through someone. I was so thrilled that they took the picture of Bishop Crane, because I want to look at that picture as I saw the emanation of truth working through him. People say, why do you use pictures? Well, you can see what God's using when you're using a picture. You can visualize the thing that has brought life to you. And I looked upon Bishop Crane's face, and down through the years,
we're going to be able to enjoy the emanation of principle that worked through that man. It thrilled my soul and stirred my spirit when I heard him proclaim how he had a
$65,000 home and had all these clothes, alligator shoes. But then when he came back from the dead, when the Spirit brought him back from the dead, and he was beckoned back, he gave his clothes away, he gave his shoes away, and he went down in the ghettos. And his church said, we don't want you anymore. You can go in the ghettos, but we don't want you or the people. And he walked away from a $1,500 salary. He would not compromise. He walked away from the biggest church, a presidency or treasurership of the whole state of Texas. He walked away from it all and said, I must see Jesus. I want a picture of somebody that is an instrument of God like that. And that's why people find healings through these pictures by the untold tens of thousands, because they have seen. Their eye hath seen. Their ear hath heard. Their heart has been stirred. They have seen the emanation of the hundredfold God manifesting through this temple. And it triggers a faith in them, and it quickens their spirit, and it causes their mortal bodies to put on immortality. It causes... because of people like our sister Evans, who would have died of this tumor and gone blind, but now is healed just because she had faith in the God that was working in this picture. Spirit. That's it.
In the fall of 1973, Jones and the Planning Commission devised a plan to escape from the United States in the event of a government raid, and they began to develop a longer-term plan to relocate People's Temple. The group decided on Guyana as a favorable location, citing its recent revolution, socialist government, and the favorable reaction Jones received when he traveled there in 1963. By the summer of 1974, land and supplies were purchased in Guyana. Jones was put in charge of the project and oversaw the installation of a power generation station, clearance of fields for farming, and the construction of dormitories to prepare for the first settlers.
This is the hottest part of the entire year, and they're doing real well. We've not lost any chickens. This is a heating lamp. These are the small chickens in another one of the coops besides the 8 coops. These are small babies that we just took, that just been hatched. This is a feed barn packed for the thousands and thousands of chickens we now have, and there's the pasture for our cattle. Back over here is the area that we're clearing for, way to my right, Mike, is the area that we're clearing for more planting. Potatoes and carrots and edos and papaya, citrus, all kinds of various fruit trees that you've never heard of in your life. And these fences we made all of ourselves, so there was hardly any cost to them. We lumbered our own wood. No, wood you see standing is not dead wood. It's been purposefully made that way, prepared for lumbering, so we can build housing for all of our beautiful family. That's Anthony. He is so delightful worker. He's a farm supervisor over the many, many dozens of employees we have. He just come in with a tractor with supplies from the workers just over that, about a mile of pasture you see there in the background. Or in the background. This is one of the many generators that we've purchased with our sweat and blood. We have generators all over our property that gives us power for everything we need. This is the cassava mill, which we are now making over $30 a day in sauces, and we're doing it on just handmade basis. We're going to get some equipment to make noodles also, which will be fantastic. Then we'll be able to talk more and big money.
In December 1974, the first group arrived in Guyana to start operating the commune that would become known as Jonestown.
Us up like the Japanese. They're not going to round us up like the Indians. No, 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 no.
We felt isolated and we felt threatened here in the States. I certainly did.
It took 24 hours over the ocean and another 9 hours up this river, and then you go another 2 hours on a flatbed truck.
This is a beautiful place here, and you can see how all the banana plants and everybody here is really enjoying here, and I really do like it.
And I'm just so glad to be a part of this down here, to be able to work and build a land.
I am really grateful to be a part of this family.
We were working 18 hours a day, but we were seeing the fruit of our labor.
We're a happy family, yes we are. All day long we sing a song, Mother loves us everyone. We're a happy family, yes we are.
He started having all the members get passports, then sticking people on buses and leaving from different airports across the country, so it wasn't obvious all of a sudden San Francisco was emptying itself.
For the first several months, Temple members worked 6 days a week from approximately 6:30 a.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. with an hour for lunch.
I only know Jim Jones as a man who cares for humanity, and I've known him for 29 years, and I was born into a middle-class white family. I'm a professional person. I work for the California State Department of Health. I have never been financially dependent upon Jim Jones, and I would not be here if I did not totally believe in him as a person. I am not a blind follower.
The work week was shortened to 8 hours a day for 5 days a week in the middle of 1978 after Jones's health started to fail and his wife started taking on more of the management of Jonestown's activities.
I cannot say why. I can say that I think that certainly when people get to the place where they can't make the total commitment that the kind of life that Jim Jones lives requires, and they decide that they do no longer want to be a part of it because of the total commitment that is required. You come to a place in your life where you have to make a choice whether you're willing to make that kind of a commitment. And when you're not willing to make it, there's a certain guilt that causes you to turn against the thing.
After the day's work ended, temple members would attend several hours of activities in a pavilion, including classes in socialism. Jones compared the schedule to the North Korean system of 8 hours of daily work, followed by 8 hours of study. This also comported with the temple's practice of gradually subjecting its followers to sophisticated mind control and behavior modification techniques borrowed from Kim Il-sung's Korea and Mao Zedong's China. Jones would often read news and commentary, including items from Radio Moscow and Radio Havana, and was known to side with the Soviets over the Chinese during the Sino-Soviet split. Jones's news readings usually portrayed the U.S. as a capitalist and imperialist villain, while casting the socialist leaders such as Kim Il-sung, Robert Mugabe, and Joseph Stalin in a positive light. Recordings of commune meetings show how livid and frustrated Jones would get when anyone did not understand or find interesting the message Jones was placing upon them. Jones forced every member of the People's Temple to say they were homosexual while proclaiming himself the only heterosexual. What? In spite of this, Jones was bisexual, having sex with both male and female followers in Jonestown. Women who slept with him claimed he was the best lover they ever had. People's Temple member Tim Carter felt Jones, quote, put them up to that kind of talk, unquote.
I appreciate the sensitivity you young men have shown for our program. I can see that you have a concern for your fellow man by the way things you've shown interest in. I think I'm going to have to leave at this time. You want me to go? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Fine. Thank you. Lovely insects and all kinds of birds and animals who don't harm at all. In fact, they've never been harmed by anything down here in the terms of being bit or anything. Tommy's come such a long way. He's not afraid of anything now. Such a good student. He's on the honor roll. Thank you, Tommy. Well, Tommy's all right. You can tell he's not afraid. But that's a gentle guy. Walking stick now, if that isn't too much. We've been talking about so many of the miracles, such a brain tumor being healed. And we were just down looking at a tank a little while ago, a fuel tank that they were trying to convert into a water tank, and it blew up and threw Charlie 8 feet. It should have killed him, and no harm whatsoever. And there's just miracle like that after miracle. It's just tremendous what the power of Father's socialism can do for all.
In the autumn of 1977, Timothy Stowen and other temple defectors formed a concerned relatives group because they had family members in Jonestown who were not being permitted to return to the United States. Stowen traveled to Washington, D.C. in January 1978 to visit with State Department officials and members of Congress and wrote a white paper detailing his grievances against Jones and the temple, and to attempt to recover his son. His efforts aroused the curiosity of California Congressman Leo Ryan, who wrote a letter on Stowen's behalf to Guyanese Prime Minister Forbes Burnham. The concerned relatives began a legal battle with the temple over the custody of Stowen's son.
I think one is forgiveness. Forgiveness for myself for surviving. I think two is forgiveness for the failures of Reverend Jim Jones. He is not God, he's only a man. And when many people placed him in the God-like role, he then believed it. And thus, that's the tragedy of Jonestown.
A mother, for example, who would say, no, I don't want to kill my child, I won't do that. She, as an example to us, would be taken from that child and drugged and kept in the medical unit, comatose. So your choices were, you follow, you act like you're part of the team, and during that time, somehow you hope you can figure a way out. Those people, in the very end, what seems comforting to people to say that these people committed suicide, they didn't. They were murdered by Jim Jones.
In June 1978, Deborah Layton, a People's Temple member who escaped Jonestown 6 months before the massacre, provided the group with a further affidavit detailing crimes by the temple and substandard living conditions in Jonestown. Layton's affidavit stated that Jonestown residents were being deliberately undernourished. There was rice for breakfast, rice water soup for lunch, and rice and beans for dinner. On Sunday, we each received an egg and a cookie. 2 or 3 times a week we had vegetables. Some very weak and elderly members received 1 egg per day. Jonestown stood on poor soil, so it was not self-sufficient and had to import large quantities of commodities, such as wheat.
Filled with noodles, chow mein noodles, sugar, seal. Don't have much more of this in Michai. Flour, rice, black-eyed peas, more peas. We have different containers around the place. We couldn't go through all the tremendous inventory. They built up Kool-Aid, icing, frost icing, various kind of cookies. These are filled with crackers back here. And of course, this is a soda pop. Was 3 cents a bottle by our standards. What's the average now? I suppose about the same. A little more maybe. 3 cents a bottle. Those are quite cheap compared to our standards. Pepsi.
However, Layton noted that Jones did not rely on the same diet as his followers. Instead, he consumed more substantial meals that frequently contained meat, while claiming problems with his blood sugar.
Besides that, we're down to counting out the hash grains and corn.
2, 4, 6.
He also permitted a few chosen members of his inner circle to eat from his personal supplies.
That bug wasn't hurting you. I saw you. Don't you tell me you weren't. I saw you step your foot on that bug. And playing with animals, dissecting them. You do that in biology, out of necessity, when they're dead. You don't need to. Why'd you do it? Will you tell me why you stepped up? Do you have any counseling set up for these kids we get a kid like this, do you have any counseling set up in the teacher program? I'm going to give you a break this time. Let Comrade Grubb put you in principal into a class where we'll talk about why you did step on that bug. You understand what I'm saying? Don't torture things. It's just like the world is so full of pain, and that poor bug was still alive when you finished. Still alive. Did you tear his wing off? I wonder how he lost the wing.
Did you? I looked down at the bug was all right.
I hope you wake up some of these kids. I'm sick of them doing this. They do this all the time around here. He did. He said yes, he took the wing off the bug. Am I overacting? You people tell me.
No, you're not. No, no.
If you don't learn sensitivity for life young, you sure ain't gonna learn it later.
Are you going now?
Yeah.
Oh, hi. I'm the crane operator. This crane is used. So far, it's been used for moving our equipment, and without it, we couldn't have moved our stuff out here from Port Kaituma.
What's it gonna be used for?
It's going to be used for hauling logs out of the forest and taking them to the sawmill.
What else do you use it for?
Well, I've used it for getting my dumb brother unstuck with a caterpillar.
See if you can make it to any railway. See if you can get to any passport. Try. I dare you to try.
People had been poisoned. Nearly a third were children. This event still stands as the largest mass suicide in modern history.
You know, a lot of people say, oh, all those people were crazy, or I could never be in a situation like that. I just wanted to say that I survived it, and it can happen, and it has happened since, and it probably will happen in the future.
You're going to lift up that phone. You're not going to call Jesus Christ. You're going to call Jim Jones.
Jonestown showed the world the devastating power a single hypnotic leader can have over his people.
My father was a fraud. I could see that because I got to go backstage. I got to be behind the scenes.
I think that Jim Jones took his group down there because he was afraid to face the publicity and answer the questions here in this country. I don't think that he feels confident having people talk to their relatives. I think the only way he can survive and sustain what he started is to isolate all his followers from this country and from their families.
The concerned relatives prompted FCC investigation of People's Temple. They organized letter writing campaigns to public officials, to members of Congress.
He was talking integration, he was talking helping people, he was talking better this and better that.
What about now? What's your impression now?
My impression now that those are fronts for him, I think he's gone crazy.
suicide. If you want to take your chance, then I'm a doubting Thomas all the way. But by God, when that Pearson woman, who could not have a baby, according to every doctor, had the baby, that I prophesied that the suicide woman that was Jim Randolph's girlfriend, when she committed suicide, I said, you will have the child and it will be a boy, and the boy will be deserted. And that's exactly what the woman did.
They're going to be turned away.
I'm not going to forget that. I mean, I understand the universe, but I know one damn thing, our mind goes beyond the universe. Don't stop no damn casket. When you commit suicide, you're in the worst kind of hell you ever were in. You going to do stab yourself, this silly ass thing? No. Now you're outrageous. Now you better be humble. You can't respect a soft and gentle man, a hard-working gentleman. You pick a punk. Same age that you were, and it's the best thing that ever happened to you. It makes you strong.
Jones was facing increasing scrutiny in the summer of 1978 when he hired JFK assassination conspiracy theorists Mark Lane and Donald Freed to make the case of a, quote, grand conspiracy, unquote, against the temple by U.S. intelligence agencies. Jones told Lane that he wanted to, quote, pull an Eldritch Cleaver, unquote, referring to a fugitive member of the Black Panthers who was able to return to the U.S. after rebuilding his reputation.
That white people organize themselves outside of the Democratic Party, outside of the Republican Party, and to move to destroy and eliminate these parties and to establish new political machinery that is not wedded to the interests of exploiting corporations and exploiting businessmen who are profiting from the status quo. To understand what's going on in this country and understand that black people are moving for their liberation, that they want their freedom, and that they intend to get their freedom, and that the reason the whole situation is taking a turn towards violence is because the government is not being responsive to the legitimate demands of black people.
Jones attempted to negotiate for his commune to resettle in the Soviet Union. In October 1978, Fyodor Timofeyev, Soviet consul to Guyana, visited Jonestown for 2 days and gave a speech. Jim Jones stated beforehand, quote, for many years, after we've let our sympathies be quite publicly known that the United States government was not our mother, but that the Soviet Union was our spiritual motherland. Timofeyev declared Jonestown in, quote, harmony of theory with Marx, Engels, Lenin, and the practical implementation of some fundamental features of this theory, unquote, and personally thanked Jones.
That you made comments to others that you knew, the next thing, you knew that I was going to take all these tape recorders away from people.
I believe I wrote you a note that I told.
No, I didn't hear no note. I didn't hear no shit note. I got it secondhand, which I didn't like that. Unless somebody took your note and didn't pass it on.
I wrote you a note that I had, right before Paula had left. I said, I knew it. Our last diversion. Pardon? No, I don't think in any way I'm a prophet. I shouldn't have said that, and I wrote you a note saying that it was out of line. And as far as that goes, I didn't
read that.
I can do without music. I could be in prison right now.
Jones's paranoia increased in Jonestown as he became fearful of a government raid on the commune. Concerned the community would not be able to resist an attack, he began holding drills to test their readiness. He called the drills White Nights. Jones would call, alert, 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 over the community loudspeaker to call the community together in the central pavilion. Armed guards with guns and crossbows surrounded the pavilion. The community members would remain at the pavilion throughout the drill, in which Jones told them that their community had been surrounded by agents who were about to destroy them. Jones led them in prayers, chanting and singing to ward off the impending attack. Sometimes he would have his guards hide in the forest and shoot their firearms to simulate an attack. Jones's terrified followers were only told they were participating in a drill when the event was over. One drill, in September 1977, lasted for 6 days. Known as the 6-day siege, the ordeal was used thereafter by Jones as a symbol of the community's indomitable spirit. The drills served to keep the members of Jonestown fearful of venturing outside of the commune. Following 2 visits by United States Embassy personnel to check on the situation at Jonestown and an IRS investigation in early 1978, Jones became increasingly convinced that the attack he feared was imminent. In one 1978 White Night drill, Jones told his followers he was going to distribute poison for everyone to drink in an act of suicide. A batch of fruit punch was served to everyone in the pavilion who sat by, weeping and waiting for their death. After some time passed, Jones informed his followers that it was only a drill and there was not any poison in their drink. Through the White Nights, Jones convinced his followers that the CIA was actively working to destroy their community and conditioned them to accept suicide as a means of escape. On at least 2 occasions during White Nights, after a revolutionary suicide vote was reached, a simulated mass suicide was rehearsed. Temple defector Deborah Layton described the event in an affidavit. Quote, "Everyone, including the children, was told to line up. As we passed through the line, we were given a small glass of red liquid to drink. We were told that the liquid contained poison and that we would die within 45 minutes. We all did as we were told. When the time came when we should have dropped dead, Reverend Jones explained that the poison was not real and that we had just been through a loyalty test. He warned us that the time was not far off when it would become necessary for us to die by our own hands."
By this point, how did you see him? What was he to you?
Monster.
I thought it was other people affecting them, other people causing it. They're pulling on, they need him.
Were you able to go to your father and say, "Dad"?
I never did that to him. I never questioned him.
The boy's mother, Marceline, tried desperately to stop him.
She said, we've got to take him, and we've got to isolate him, we've got to get him off drugs. But what I said to her is you don't tell God he's got a drug problem.
I got guns, I got dynamite, I got a hell of a lot to fight, I'll fight!
He was losing the charge. He was using up his source. He had isolated himself. He had the same people to put on a show for. And after a while, this ain't enough. I got to have more.
So let him account where all those guns are. That's his damn problem. Right? I want the authorities to ask him where all the guns are. What Tim Stone do with all of our goddamn guns? He's got Jesus, let him explain that, and explain how he was a Marxist last month. That's good. All right, my darlings, tell 3 great things. 3 great things has happened. Miracles of scientific socialism of the mind. Yes. One phrase. That's good. Don't ever use a phrase, crazy nigger. Not for a while. Don't ever admit you even know. If anybody asks you, what's that? I don't know that word. I'm black. If any spy wanted to come in, that could... And they made a little fodder with that. Played a little bit with that. And we don't believe in suicide, and that's a damn truth. They have to kill us. They want us out of the way, don't they? Good night. Much love.
I don't have any question. I'm sure I would have had the poison. I don't have not the slightest question. If I had seen, all the people that I love, who I had built a community with, dying all around me, I wouldn't have wanted to live. I just think, I would have lost too much. I wouldn't have wanted to survive.
if our people had the balls, Hugh Fortson made a mistake and went out and took their petition, I'd have thrown the petition in a goddamn face, hit the camera, shoved their asses off. Every man, woman, and child in San Francisco, if they'd done what they ought to, what I'd have done, I'd have tore that place up, and they'd have had no news conference on our church steps. And I'll bet you our ass had been left alone for a while. They have no business getting on our church steps. That's our property. They can't stand up on our fucking church steps and make a goddamn news conference. And then stand there and take a fucking... Looks weak. I don't know what's the matter with you that he take... I know what's the matter with you. I can tell you what the fuck's the matter with you. He's got a girlfriend here and his wife in town. Always. Every time, goddammit, every time you get in sex, these crazy sons of bitches lose their mind and all their intelligence, if they're males of God, and it goes to the goddamn balls.
The situation at Jonestown was deteriorating in 1978. The community was exhausted and overworked. Loudspeakers were installed around Jonestown, and sermons were played on a constant loop for the entire community to listen to. Jones began to propagate his belief in what he termed translation once his followers settled in Jonestown, claiming that he and his followers would all die and live blissfully together in the afterlife. Jones's orders were increasingly erratic. He was seen staggering and urinating in public, but this was due to prostatitis for a short time towards the end of Jonestown. He found it difficult to walk without assistance around this time, but it cleared up by Ryan's visit. After learning that he might have a lung infection in 1978, Jones told his followers that he actually had lung cancer in an effort to gain their compassion and increase their level of support. Jones was said to be abusing Valium, Quaaludes, stimulants, and barbiturates. Audio recordings of meetings held in Jonestown in 1978 attest to the commune leader's deteriorating health.
Got beans? That's my shit. I like them beans. Beans, the musical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. I hear this shit. This shit just tears the fuck out of me. It tears the fuck out of me. You people just tear the fuck out of me. Goddamn shit. Some of you want some cover ass. You want something to go back to. Well, you ain't going back to nothing because they wouldn't let you if you could.
Accidentally or coincidentally led probably on to the perseverance in communism, to where I would never let sex direct me, but I would direct sex to the achievement of my goals, which were pure goals. Could have been equally bad goals if I'd gone the wrong way. So we want to think about this shit when we, if we got a steady relationship. I don't know his case. I'm just, I know it. It's much more subjective because I went through it. It's a hell of a business to be constant and not fuck one girl. And the girl that you had, what as much as love as I've ever seen a kid could have, and then have her in front of all your classmates. It didn't make no difference that some years later she wanted me back. Come up to me, the pain and the damage that would. If it hadn't have been, I don't know what the hell kept me from suicide. I don't know. Responsibility, I guess. I guess it was, someplace in there was an animal that needed me, so I took my animal, because sure as hell didn't think anything else needed me. I took an animal, someplace, a duck, goddamn, I remember trying, by the time I got my duck a home, and had to move out of the town, and hitchhiked 17 miles. Hell, it's good. But you people make a habit of, if you've been hurt, don't try to hurt somebody else. I don't know anything about his case. For Christ's sake, there's enough pain. But Johnny said it very well. Don't take the responsibility. I mean, take it off on somebody else. It's you got your part in it too. I'm not worried about the hurt that I've had. I just worry about how many more people. What I'm thinking about now is not being hurt. Mine's all gone over with. I died a long time ago. The hurt is that others are going to have that kind of pain until we have communism, until we learn to feel for people. And it's too late for anybody to feel too much of anything but tiredness. But, yes, restroom, Jared, it's all right.
NBC News produced this program and is solely responsible for its content.
NBC is where to set your dial. NBC us right here. NBC us. NBC us. NBC us. NBC us.
Maria Katsaris is next. She's coming right now, and she will give her statement right now. This is Maria Katsaris. I am 24 years old, and I am the daughter of Stephen Katsaris, who I understand is making public statements to the media that I am being held in some sort of state of captivity here in Guyana. Do you copy? He has also said a lot of other things that are equally and totally false. I'm making this statement to set the record straight once and for all. Do you copy? First of all, I am not being held in any sort of captivity. That is totally absurd. I have gone to several places on business for the church and have traveled alone. Now, let's get down into the real reasons for Mr. Katsaris' lies. First of all, this man has sexually molested me. He did this all through my childhood, up into my teens. Do you copy? He has always had a sick attachment to me. He is, indeed, a disturbed person and has had to go for several years to a psychotherapist about his problems. He is a highly manipulative person, and like many mentally sick people, he is an excellent actor. He can look you right in the eye and convince you that he is the model of virtue. Do you copy? He is particularly hung up on me and cannot stand the fact that I have grown up, have left his household, and refused to worship him. He has actually told me that I should worship him as an icon unto God. Do you copy? Not only that, but the man was an ordained minister all during the time he was molesting me. What he put me through had so totally traumatized me as a child that I was for years terrified to even tell anyone anything about it. Do you copy? Now I am telling everyone and putting it on the record. I don't want anything to do any longer with this sick man. I am engaged and fully independent. It is time he grew up, got over his pathetic hang-ups and desires to be worshipped. I'm saying to Stephen Katsaris, I want you to leave me alone. Do you copy? I couldn't be happier than I am here in Jonestown in Guyana. This community is a great challenge and opportunity for me. And I have never felt better, been healthier, or been involved in more interesting and rewarding work. Do you copy? The end of my statement? That is the end of my statement. Okay, how are you copying? Because you got a lot of, this QSB, you can explain that. It's fading on this end, over.
Yesterday, Leighton was at Port Cartuma Airport under arrest and on his way to Georgetown.
He told NBC News correspondent Fred Francis he was at the airport when the murders took place.
What's your name?
But gave a negative shake of the head when asked whether he was involved.
My name is Larry Light.
Larry Light?
Layton.
Layton?
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
L-A-Y-T-O.
L-A-Y-T-O. And where are you from?
California.
What have you been charged with, Larry?
I have yet to hear the charges.
Were you involved in the shooting here at the airport?
I'll have no more statement until I hear the charges.
After the 1965 Watts riots, Leo Ryan took a job as a substitute school teacher to investigate and document conditions in the Los Angeles area. In 1970, he launched an investigation into California prisons. While presiding as chairman of the Assembly Committee that oversaw prison reform, he used a pseudonym to enter Folsom State Prison as an inmate. During his time in Congress, Ryan traveled to Newfoundland to investigate the practice of seal hunting. He was also known for his vocal criticism of the lack of congressional oversight of the CIA and co-authored the Hughes-Ryan Amendment, passed in 1974, which required the President of the United States to report covert CIA activity to Congress. Ryan was friends with the father of former Temple member Bob Houston, whose mutilated body was found near train tracks on October 5, 1976, 3 days after a taped telephone conversation with Houston's ex-wife in which they discussed his leaving the temple. The State Department characterized possible United States government action in Guyana against Jonestown as a potential, quote, legal controversy, unquote. But Ryan, at least, partially rejected this viewpoint. In a later article in the Chronicle, Ryan was described as having, quote, bucked the local Democratic establishment and the Jimmy Carter administration State Department, unquote. Ryan asked the other members of the Bay Area congressional delegation to join him on the trip to Jonestown, but they all declined. Ryan also invited his friend, Indiana Congressman and future Vice President Dan Quayle, who had served with Ryan on the Government Operations Committee, but Quayle was unable to go. Ryan asserted that if Jonestown had become a, quote, gulag, unquote, he would do everything he could to free the captives.
About George Jackson, that when they isolate him, that only way
Don't you dirty the name of George Jackson. Yeah. Don't you dirty the name of George Jackson. If George Jackson had had this movement, he'd be alive. Don't you dirty his name. You're not worthy of his goddamn name. Don't you speak his name, you prick. Don't you mention it, because this organization would have saved George Jackson. It's pricks like you that sold him down the river that caused him to be dead. You're not a George Jackson, you're a punk. You goddamn miserable punks. You gangsters that want to identify with George Jackson, and if he'd had some of you miserable punks working with him, he wouldn't have been killed by the pigs. If he'd had this organization, he talked about it. You haven't read his books. He talked about this kind of organization we have. You miserable goddamn punk. Don't you ever dirty his name again until you can learn to cooperate and follow rules, you miserable punk.
On November 14th, Ryan left Washington and arrived in Georgetown, the capital of Guyana, 150 miles from Jonestown, with his congressional delegation of government officials, media representatives, and some members of the concerned relatives. That night, the delegation stayed at a local hotel where, despite confirmed reservations, most of the rooms had been canceled and reassigned, leaving the delegation to sleep in the lobby. For 3 days, Ryan continued to negotiate with Jones's legal counsel and held perfunctory meetings with embassy personnel and Guyanese officials. On November 17th, Ryan's aide, Jackie Spear, who became a congresswoman in 2008, the United States Embassy Deputy Chief of Mission, Richard Dwyer, a Guyanese Ministry of Information officer 9 journalists, and 4 concerned relatives, representatives of the delegation, boarded a small plane for the flight to Port Kaituma Airport, a few miles outside of Jonestown.
Sit around. Okay. So I'm going to find them. I'm going to find them.
So we don't have to. We can just stay here.
Yeah, you can sit around.
Okay.
Are we in violation of any Guyanese law here or anything like that?
No,
he's still
not yet.
He's still going to stay.
Not yet.
That's fine.
Not yet.
I think that's one of the reasons why you landed, because if there was any violation, you would not have landed. I'm Congressman Ryan. You're Corporal Rudder.
Corporal Rudder.
How are you, Corporal? We're glad to meet you. And we're here. I'm from the United States government. We're here to inquire into the health and the welfare of American citizens who are here. And we have no intention of violating any of your laws or the laws of this area or the rules of private property and the rest. We simply would like to have a chance to talk with a good many men and women who are from the area in California, there's the San Francisco Bay Area, who have expressed an interest in people who are here. And that's our only intention in coming, just to talk about it.
Before I give permission to go in there, I would have to get instructions from my chief inspector before any permission could be granted by me. But I am just carrying out duties that I was detailed to do.
Sure, I have no intention of hurting or stopping or anything like that, and I want to do it with great respect for your government and for the rules of your country.
Thank you.
Can you say, where is your superior officer?
In Matthews Ridge.
In Matthews Ridge.
Yeah.
So the request went from the people at People's Temple
to Matthews Ridge.
To Matthews Ridge. To not let any of these people in.
May I come in here? Do you want to speak to his superior officer?
No, I have no argument. I just want to be sure I understand.
No, because
we intend to do exactly what he says.
No, what I want to tell you is that we are neutralists really, because we don't know what's really going on. We were asked not to lay on transport for you to go into Jonestown, which where the people of People's Temple reside. But this is Poker 2. I'm the officer in charge here. If perchance you want to go to have any contact with Georgetown or, let's say, the police at Matches Rich, you're welcome. Okay? Thank you. Right, that's my stand.
Thank you very much.
Not police.
Do you understand that as far as I'm concerned, as a member of Congress, I'm here simply asking People's Temple if they will allow us to come in. We do not intend any kind of trouble, any kind of problem. We're seeking their
your
permission.
problem and the People's Temple.
Right. We're seeking their permission.
My
It's a private
situation is,
matter.
I'm just handing this out to you.
Right.
In the time, if you want to make further contact, you're welcome.
Fine, thank you.
I think I'll take you to my office and you can ring.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome too.
Thomas is his name.
Thank you.
At first, only the Temple Legal Counsel was allowed off the plane, but eventually the entire entourage, including Gordon Lindsay, reporting for NBC, was allowed in.
That's right, Arlene. this is a congressional inquiry, and I think that all of you know that I'm here to find out more about questions that have been raised about your operation here. But I can tell you right now that from the few conversations I've had with some of the folks here already this evening, that whatever the comments are, there are some people here who believe that this is the best thing that ever happened in their whole life. It's really a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate the hospitality you've shown me already. My work here is important to me. I know it's very important to you, too. I hope to be through here tomorrow sometime. In the meantime, you're obviously having a very good time tonight. I don't want to spoil any more with political speeches. Just let me say thank you on behalf of my staff, on behalf of the press who are here, on behalf of the relatives who are in here now, for hosting us here this evening. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Initially, the group was warmly welcomed, but Temple member Vernon Gosney handed NBC correspondent Don Harris, mistaking him for Ryan, a note that read, quote, "Vernon Gosney and Monica Bagby, please help us get out of Jonestown." Jones was made aware of the note, and Gosney tried and failed to impress upon Ryan the extreme danger that his delegation was now in. That night, the media and the delegation returned to the airfield for accommodations after Jones refused to let them stay the night. The next morning, Ryan, Spear, and Dwyer continued their interviews and met a woman who secretly expressed her wish to leave Jonestown with her family and another family. Around 11 a.m., the media and the delegation returned and took part in interviewing People's Temple members.
Going back over this because, as I say, I can concede to you the amount of work that's been done here, because that's not an arguable point. So that leaves only one thing. That leaves only one thing to be explored, and that's this question of... There's a lot to be explored. Well, for us, the thing of fear. And this is a good example. Last night, someone came and passed me this note.
Well, that's who we're talking about. He wants to leave his son here. If Jonestown's such a bad place, why is he going to leave his son here? He's the one that I'm just talking about. Yeah, this is talking about. This is the man that wants to leave his son here.
Doesn't it concern you, though, that this man, for whatever reason, one of the people in your group...
People play games, friend. They lie. What can I do about lies? Are you people going to leave us? I just beg you, please leave us. Bill, we will bother nobody. Anybody wants to get out of here can get out of here. We have no problem about getting out of here. They come and go all the time. I don't know what kind of game. People like publicity. Some people do. I don't. Some people like publicity. But if it's so damn bad, why is he leaving his son here? you give me a good reason for that? I'd take my son with me.
I'll ask him. We're going to slide out of there. I don't, again, I should never tell us that story for you and your community.
I doubt if it shall be. But I didn't expect it to be. But I will live in anticipation.
It's not that I don't think what you're doing here is wonderful because I do.
Just know that there's always a place where you always a place. Sorry. There's always a place. Yeah, I know there always will be a place. I have no problem. Even some that have lied, they've come back. I think I pretty well proved. I understand. I'm a forgiving person. I just watch the people that hold themselves trees and illusion.
When we do this report, there will be some things that are negative in the report. I told them to trust me. Talking to me or me talking to them? You want my jawline movie? No. Okay. So what are y'all going to do now? You're going to go out to Jonestown next week?
Next, and then we're going to be doing a different microphone. You're going to go, you're going to drill too. Come get my favor. Everybody can take it.
Very close to you and make you a little uncomfortable, but I'm trying to get that sound thing out. Okay? Are you happy here?
Yes, I'm very happy here.
You know that your father and your brother are convinced that you're not.
Well, I'm very happy here. I don't know what else I can do to convince him. I've talked to my brother several hours now. In fact, I invited him down here about a month and a half ago to spend a week or two or however long he wanted with me to share with him what I'm doing here and the happiness that I feel. And as far as my father's concerned, so far he has said what he's wanted to say, which has not been the truth.
It must be obvious to you that your brother cares a great deal for you. And I suspect that you have feelings for him. This is a very sad thing. Why does it exist? What can be done to solve this thing where a brother and sister...
There's absolutely no problem between my brother and myself. He's happy, I'm very happy for him to come down here anytime. He's asking me to come back to the United States to spend a week to convince him and my family that I'm not being held here against my will, and I don't plan to return at this time to convince anybody because I know I'm happy here and I know my mind. And, I'm not saying I'm never coming back to the United States, but this is my home here. This is my life for now. This is where I plan to remain.
I'm going to shift to Anthony. Don't move up. I'm not doing you yet. All right? You want me to... I'll flip sides if you like. Yeah.
Why don't you move everybody?
No, that's okay. Just stand there. Take it down. Anthony, what do you think?
It's hard for me to know what to think. It's hard. I can't be convinced totally by what my father says from California, sitting up there. It's also hard for me to believe what I see and hear from Maria sitting here. It's important, I think, that I hear his side and then I hear her side. But for me to be convinced, I would need to be alone with Maria. Not here in in Jonestown, not at my dad's house, somewhere impartial.
You're still worried about her. Why? I know this is hard for you. I know it must be hard for both of you, but I'm trying desperately to understand this thing. You see her, you talk to her, but you're still worried about her. Can you tell me why?
It's hard for me to explain. Last night when I talked to Maria, she said she accused the words that I was saying as being words coming out of my father's mouth. And I said, well, Maria, it's just as hard for me not to know that the words you're saying aren't coming from somebody else's mouth and not yours. That's why for me to be satisfied, I'd have to see you somewhere else.
I'm sorry to put both of you through that. I hope it works out so that both of you are satisfied with the others.
Around 3:00 p.m., 14 Temple defectors and Larry Layton, posing as a defector, boarded a truck and were taken to the airstrip, with Ryan wishing to stay another night to assist any others who wanted to leave. Shortly thereafter, a knife attack on Ryan failed while he was arbitrating a family dispute on leaving. Against Ryan's protests, Dwyer ordered Ryan to leave, but he promised to return later to address the dispute.
I think I may put on the tape just that I told you so. Never mind. What happened? Well, we were, all of a sudden, we had a whole lot of people at the last minute who wanted to go suddenly rushed forward and said, we want to leave. We knew about two as early as last night. We knew about a family this morning that said, we got to go. And you have to understand there's a high degree of agitation on the part of those who want to go, and they were really very much in fear. And so we made arrangements for them, and of course the transportation is extremely limited and very difficult. So we had to begin planning. And of course, most of these people, if they come out, will not have enough food and don't have a clothing, a place to stay, and the rest. So we had to begin a real operation, at which point we divided up the work, and my responsibility for, among the three of us, my assistant and the deputy chief of mission, Snyder and I, my job was to stay behind and get the list of people who wanted to go, make sure they had their stuff, make sure they made their declarations they wanted to leave, and all, and just keep it straight. And I was doing that, which included going with some of them to get their belongings because they were reluctant to go back to their buildings alone. And I think in the process, people could see me doing that and were pretty hostile about it, apparently, from the looks they gave and some of the comments they made, not to me, but to the people who were leaving. And the next thing I knew, I'm back in the pavilion, we had the group beginning to get together. I stood up and had been talking with the two attorneys for the temple, and suddenly the knife was around my neck, and I was in danger. And I pushed the hand away, fell back against him, others grabbed him, and pulled him off me. And that's where we are. Who grabbed him? Everybody did.
The entire group left Jonestown and arrived at the Kaituma airstrip by 4:45 p.m. Their exit transport planes, a twin-engine Otter and a Cessna, did not arrive until 5:10 p.m. The smaller, 6-seat Cessna was taxiing to the end of the runway when one of its occupants, Larry Layton, opened fire on those inside, wounding several. Concurrently, several other People's Temple members who had escorted the group out began to open fire on the transport plane, killing Ryan, 3 journalists, and a defecting temple member, while wounding 9 others, including Spear. The gunman riddled Ryan's body with over 20 bullets before shooting him in the face. Passengers on the Cessna subdued Layton, and the survivors on both planes fled into nearby fields during and after the attack. After Ryan's departure from Jonestown towards Port Kaituma, Marcelin Jones made a broadcast on the public address system stating that everything was all right and asking residents to return to their homes. During this time, aides prepared a large metal tub with grape flavor aid poisoned with cyanide. The concoction was prepared with the help of Jonestown's in-house doctor, Larry Schacht, a Texan native and a former methamphetamine addict. who got sober with the help of Jones, who subsequently paid for his college education to become a doctor. Schacht had been researching the best ways for a person to die in advance of foreseen mass suicide. About 30 minutes after Marcelin Jones's announcement, Jim Jones made his own, calling all members immediately to the pavilion. A 44-minute cassette tape, known as the death tape, records part of the meeting Jones called inside the pavilion in the early evening of November 18, 1978. When the assembly gathered, referring to the Ryan delegation's air travel back to Georgetown, Jones told the gathering, "One of those people on that plane is going to shoot the pilot. I know that. I didn't plan it, but I know it's going to happen. They're going to shoot that pilot, and down comes the plane into the jungle, and we better not have any of our children left when it's over, because they'll parachute in here on us." On the tape, Jones urged Temple members to commit what he called revolutionary suicide. Such an act had been planned by the Temple before, and, according to Jonestown defectors, its theory was, quote, "You can go down in history saying you chose your own way to go, and it is your commitment to refuse capitalism and in support of socialism." According to escaped Temple member Odell Rhodes, the first to take the poison were Roletta Paul and her 1-year-old infant. A syringe without a needle fitted was used to squirt poison into the infant's mouth, after which Paul squirted another syringe into her own mouth. Stanley Clayton also witnessed mothers with their babies first approach the tub containing the poison. Clayton said that Jones approached people to encourage them to drink the poison, and that after adults saw the poison begin to take effect, quote, "they showed a reluctance to die," unquote. The poison caused death within 5 minutes for children, less for babies, and an estimated 20 to 30 for adults. After consuming the poison, people were then escorted away down a wooden walkway leading outside the pavilion. It is not clear if some initially thought the exercise was another white night rehearsal. Rhodes reported being in close contact with dying children. Rhodes described a scene of both hysteria and confusion as parents watched their children die from the poison. He also stated that most present, quote, quietly waited their own turn to die, and that many of the assembled Temple members, quote, walked around like they were in a trance, unquote. Survivor Tim Carter has suggested that that day's lunch of grilled cheese sandwiches may have been tainted with sedatives. This crowd was surrounded by armed guards, offering members the basic dilemma of death by poison or death by a guard's hand. Cries and screams of children and adults were easily heard on the tape recording made.
How very much I've loved you. How very much I've tried my best to give you the good life. But in spite of all of that I've tried, a handful of our people with their lives have made our life impossible. There's no way to detach ourselves from what's happened today. Not only we're in a compound situation, not only are there those who have left and committed the betrayal of the century. Some have stolen children from others, and they're in pursuit right now to kill them because they stole their children. And we are sitting here waiting on a powder keg. I don't think this is what we want to do with our babies. I don't think that's what we had in mind to do with our babies. It was said by the greatest of prophets from time immemorial, no man takes my life from me, I lay my life down. So to sit here and wait for the catastrophe that's going to happen on that airplane, it's going to be a catastrophe. Almost happened here. Almost happened. The congressman was nearly killed here. But you can't steal people's children. You can't take off with people's children without expecting a violent reaction. And that's not so unfamiliar to us either. Even if we were Judeo-Christian, if we weren't communists, the world, the kingdom suffereth violence, and the violence shall take it by force. If we can't live in peace, then let's die in peace. We've been so betrayed. We have been so terribly betrayed. What's going to happen here in a matter of a few minutes is that one of those people on that plane is going to shoot the pilot. I know that. I didn't plan it, but I know it's going to happen. They're going to shoot that pilot, and down comes that plane into the jungle. And we had better not have any of our children left when it's over, because they'll parachute in here on us. I'm telling you just as plain as I know how to tell you. I've never lied to you. I never have lied to you. I know that's what's going to happen. That's what he intends to do. And he will do it. He'll do it. Fortunately, being so bewildered with many pressures on my brain, seeing all these people behave so treasonous, it was just too much for me to put together. But I now know what he was telling me, and it'll happen. If the plane gets in the air, even. So my opinion is that we be kind to children and be kind to seniors and take the portion like they used to take in ancient Greece and step over quietly, because we are not committing suicide. It's a revolutionary act. We can't go back. They won't leave us alone. They're now going back to tell more lies, which means more congressmen, and there's no way we can survive. Anybody wish to? Anyone that has any dissenting opinion, please speak. Yes. You can have an opportunity, but if our children are left, we are going to have them butchered. We can make a strike, but we'll be striking against people that we don't want to strike against. We'd like to get the people who cause this stuff, and if some people here are prepared to know how to do that, to go in town and get Timothy Stone, but there's no plane. There's no plane. You can't catch a plane in time. He's responsible for it. He brought these people to us. He and Deanna Myrtle. But people in San Francisco will not be idle over this. They'll not take our death in vain, you know. Yes, Christine?
Is it too late for Russia?
Here's why it's too late for Russia. They killed. They started to kill. That's why it makes it too late for Russia. Otherwise, I'd said, Russia, you bet your life. But it's too late. I can't control these people. They're out there. They've gone with their guns, and it's too late. I've been living on hope for a long time, Christine, and I appreciate you've always been a very good agitator. I like agitation because you got to see two sides of one issue, two sides of a question. But what those people are going to get done, what they get through, will make our life worse than hell. Will make the Russians not accept us when they get through lying. They told so many lies between there and that truck that we are done in as far as any other alternative.
Well, I said let's make an airlift to Russia. That's what I say. I don't think nothing is impossible.
Well, how are we going to
believe it?
How are you going to airlift to Russia?
Well, I thought they said if we got in an emergency, they gave you a code to let them know.
No, they did. They gave us the code that they'd let us know of an issue, not us create an issue for them. They said if they saw the country coming down, they'd give us the code. They give us a code. You can check on there and see if it's on the code. You can check with Russia to see if they'll take us in immediately, otherwise we die. I don't know what else you say to these people. But to me, death is not a fearful thing. It's living that's treacherous.
As a young converted Christian,
Church of God in Christ had of us who were unmarried, we had to live with senior mothers, they were called. And they were our mentors. Mine was Sister Booker. Arlene Booker was her name. And living with us was Christine Miller, myself, and 3 of the girls from Church of God in Christ that were young, like we were in our late teens.
Now, you mentioned Christine Miller. This is somebody who eventually would be with Jim Jones in Guyana.
That is correct.
Okay.
Christine Miller was a school teacher. She taught 5th grade. She loved children. She was a really, really nice lady. She was a blessing to me because she helped me. I wasn't very good in school with academics, and she was very patient with me, and she helped me in that area. Arlene Booker was very patient with me, and she helped me on a spiritual level. And how I got to go to the Jim Jones meetings was because Arlene Booker and Christine Miller were both going to his meeting. Christine Miller was a secretary to Jim Jones at that time. And he used to come to the house and he would pray with us and he would minister to us. He was trying to get us to join his congregation.
Okay, so about what year is this?
This is 66. When I first met Jim Jones, I don't think he had went insane yet because he was very much a community activist. He fed the hungry. He built apartments and housing for the homeless. He helped single moms. He was really active. And all of the black communities especially, and the Hispanic communities, these are poor communities because that's where he helped. They really embraced him. So the churches in those areas embraced him as well.
This gentleman must have been very charismatic to convince all these people to follow him, give him everything they owned.
You would absolutely love him had you had an opportunity to meet him. He could make you feel so good about yourself, Justin. You know, Arlene had to be a little tough with us because she was teaching us. Mm-hmm. It's just like a parent raising a kid.
Sure.
So Jim Jones had a way of talking to you and letting you know how precious you are to God and how much God loved you and what a wonderful job you're doing. And he loves you too, and he recognized your talent. And he'd say, and I know how great you are to the kingdom of God. You really need to be with us. She's just, a little bit bitter. He would start telling me things about her.
Planting little seeds.
Yes. And he would tell me how bitter she was because her husband had abandoned her at a young age and she had to raise those kids by herself. And I thought, yeah, he's right. Yeah, I started believing it for a little bit. And he really saw those people as his people. Mm-hmm. When he was, I have been in conversations with him when he was talking to us about joining the church, and he was talking to Arlene, and he was telling Arlene, this is what's best for all of you. And he says, you're my people. I know you're my people. Mm-hmm. And so he saw those people as his people and really belonging to him, because he treated Christine like a possession. And I'm telling you, he was really good at it, and she really loved it too. And for people like her or myself, or I'm sure a lot of those other people that died with him that didn't get the right nurturing and love as young kids growing up, or your parents are working, nobody's got time to give you any special attention. He really knew how to make you feel like you were the only person on the whole world.
Pretty good at manipulation, it sounds like.
He was excellent. He was a master at it.
I've never seen people take the law and do in their own hands and provoke us and try to purposely agitate murder of children. Christine, it's not worth living like this. Not worth living like this.
I think that there were too few who left for 1,200 people to give them their lives for those people that left.
You know how many left?
20 odd. That's a small
20 odd. 20 odd.
Compared to what's here.
20 odd. But what's going to happen when they don't leave? I hope that they could leave, but what's going to happen when they don't leave?
You mean the people here?
Yeah, what's going to happen to us when they don't leave, when they get on the plane and the plane goes down?
I don't think it'll go down.
You don't think it'll go down? I wish I could tell you were right, but I'm right. That plane will come out of the air. There's no way you fly a plane without a pilot.
I wasn't speaking about that plane. I was speaking about the plane for us to go to Russia.
To Russia. Do you think Russia's going to want? No, not going to. We're not. Do you think Russia's going to want us with all this stigma? We had some value, but now we don't have any value.
Well, I don't see it like that. I mean, I feel like that as long as there's life, there's hope. That's my faith.
Well, everybody dies. Someplace that hope runs out because everybody dies. I haven't seen anybody yet that didn't die. And I like to choose my own kind of death for a change. I'm tired of being tormented to hell. That's what I'm tired of. Tired of it. 1,200 people's lives in my hands, and I certainly don't want your life in my hand. But I'm going to tell you, Christine, without me, life has no meaning. I'm the best friend you'll ever have. And once I have to pay, I'm standing with you, Jara. I'm standing with those people. They're part of me. I can detach myself. My attorney says detach myself. No. I never detached myself from any of your troubles. I've always taken your troubles right on my shoulders. And I'm not going to change that now. It's too late. I've been running too long. I'm not going to change now. Maybe the next time you get to go to Russia, the next time round. We have no other road. I will take your call. We will put it to the Russians, and I can tell you the answer now because I'm a prophet. Call the Russians and tell them, see if they'll take us.
I said I'm afraid to die.
I don't think you
are.
I don't think you are.
But I look at our babies and I think they deserve to live.
I agree.
You know?
But also they deserve, what's more, they deserve peace.
We all came here for peace.
And have we had it?
No.
I tried to give it to you. I've laid down my life practically. I've practically died every day to give you peace. And you've still not had any peace. You look better than I've seen you in a long while, but it's still not the kind of peace that I wanted to give you. So, a person's a fool that continues to say that you're winning when you're losing.
When we destroy ourselves, we're defeated. We let the enemy defeat us.
Did you see I live to fight no more forever?
Yes, I saw that.
Did you not have some sense of pride and victory in that man? He would not subject himself to the will and whim of people who tell that they're going to come in whenever they please and push into our house, come when they please, take who they want to, talk to who they want to. Is that living? That's not living to me. I'm speaking here not as the administrator. I'm speaking as a prophet today. I wouldn't step in this seat and talk so serious if I didn't know what I was talking about. If there's any way to call back the immense amount of damage that's going to be done, but I cannot separate myself from the pain of my people. And you can't either, Christine, if you stop to think about it. You can't separate yourself. We've walked too long together.
I know that, but I still think as an individual, I have a right to...
You do, and I'm listening.
What I think, what I feel, and I think we all have a right to our own destiny as individuals.
Right.
And I think I have a right to choose mine, and everybody else has a right to choose theirs.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. I'm not criticizing. I'm not doing this. What's that? That's what I said today. That's what 20 people said today with their lives.
I think I still have a right to my own opinion.
I'm not taking it from you. I'm not taking it from you.
Christine,
You're only standing here because he was here in the first place. So I don't know what you're talking about, having an individual life. Your life has been extended to the day that you're standing there because of him.
Voice back there, she has much right to speak to anybody else, too. What'd you say, Luby? Well, you'll regret it this very day if you don't die. You'll regret it if you don't die. You'll regret it.
Too many people.
I saved them, but I made my example. I made my expression. I made my manifestation, and the world was ready, not ready for me. Paul said, I was a man born out of due season. I've been born out of due season just like all we are, and the best testimony we can make is to leave this goddamn world.
You must be scared to die. I'm not talking to her. Will you let me talk?
You're talking.
Would you make her sit down and let me talk while I'm on the floor, or let her come up and stand on my seat?
Proper to tell the leader what to do. It really isn't.
You would be no fucking good in Russia, goddammit!
All right, now everybody hold it. We didn't come. Hold it.
Much longer to maintain. To lay down your burdens. I'm going to lay down my burdens down by the riverside. So we lay them down here in the side of Guyana. What's the difference? No man didn't take our life right now. He hadn't taken it. But when they start parachuting out of the air, they'll shoot some of our innocent babies. I don't want to see this, Christine.
We're all ready to go. If you tell us we have to give our lives now, we're ready. I'm pretty sure all the rest of the sisters and brothers are with me.
For months I've tried to keep this thing from happening, but I now see it's the will of sovereign being that this happened to us. That we lay down our lives in protest against what's being done. That we lay down our lives to protest in what's being done. The criminality of people, the cruelty of people. Who walked out of here today? Did you notice who walked out? Mostly white people. Mostly white people walked. I'm so grateful for the ones that didn't, those who knew who they are. But there's no point to this. We are born before our time. They won't accept us. And I don't think we should sit here and take any more time for our children to be endangered, because they come after our children and we give them our children, then our children will suffer forever. And I don't, what I do with weight and justice and judgment. I've waited against all evidence.
Okay, that's all I got to say.
What comes now, folks? What comes now?
Everybody hold it.
Stay peace. Stay peace. Stay peace. Stay peace. Stay peace. What's come? Don't let it. Just take Dwyer on down to the East House. Take Dwyer.
Everybody be quiet, please.
You've got some respect for our lives.
That means sit down, sit down, sit down.
I know. I tried so very, very hard. We're trying over here to see what can happen in Los Angeles. Who is it? Gather in, folks. It's easy. It's easy.
When the Red Brigade members came back to Jonestown after Ryan's murder, Tim Carter, a Vietnam War veteran, recalled them having the 1,000-yard stare of weary soldiers. After Jones confirmed that the congressman's dead, no dissent is heard on the death tape. By this point, armed guards had taken up positions surrounding the pavilion area.
Yes, my love.
At one time, I felt just like Christine felt. But after today, I don't feel anything, because the biggest majority of the people that left here were white. And I know it really hurt my heart because
Broke your heart, didn't
it broke my heart to think that all of these years that these white people have been with us and they're not a part of us. So we might as well end it now because I don't see...
Talking, the congressman has been murdered. It's all over, all over. What a legacy, what a legacy. But the Red Brigade's the only ones that ever made any sense anyway. They invaded our privacy, they came into our home, they followed us 6,000 miles away. The Red Brigade showed them justice. The congressman's dead. Please get us some medication. It's simple, there's no convulsions with it, it's just simple, just please get it. Before it's too late, the GDF will be here. I tell you, get moving, get moving, get moving. Don't be afraid to die. If these people land out here, they'll torture some of our children here. They'll torture our people, they'll torture our seniors. We cannot have this. Are you going to separate yourself from whoever shot the congressman? I don't know who shot him. Oh, God Almighty, God Almighty. Patty Parks is dead?
And the others to endure long enough in a safe place to write about the goodness of Jim Jones?
I don't know how in the world they're ever going to write about us. It's just too late. It's too late. The congressman's dead. The congressman's dead. Many of our traitors are dead. They're all laying out there dead. I didn't, but my people did. My people did. They're my people. And they've been provoked too much. They've been provoked too much. What's happened here has been this has been an act of provocation.
And I appreciate you for everything.
You're
the only, you are the only, and I appreciate you.
Please, can we hasten with that medication? You don't know what you've done. I tried. Move, please move. But there'll be more. You got to move. Are you going to get the medication here? You got to move. Marson, there's about 40 minutes.
You have to move, and the people that are standing there in the aisle go stay in the radio room yard, but everybody get behind the table and back this way, okay? There's nothing to worry about. Everybody keep calm and try and keep your children calm. And the older children can help love the little children and reassure them. Children aren't crying from pain. It's just a little bitter tasting, but they're not crying out of any pain. Annie McGowan, can I please see you back?
I used to do before I came here. So let me tell you about it. It might make a lot of you feel a little more comfortable. Sit down and be quiet, please. One of the things that I used to do, I used to be a therapist. And the kind of therapy that I did had to do with reincarnation and past life situations. And every time anybody had the experience of going into a past life, I was fortunate enough through Father to be able to let them experience it all the way through their death, so to speak. And everybody was so happy when they made that step to the other side.
When you step, there's no other thing you can do but step that way. It's the only way to step. The choice is not ours now. It's out of our hands.
If you have a body that's been crippled, suddenly you have the kind of body that you want to have.
A little rest.
It feels
Calm
good.
the
You've never
children.
felt so good, family, I tell you. You've never felt so good is how that feels.
I'm glad you're my brothers and sisters, and I'm glad to be here. Okay.
Please, for God's sakes, let's get on with it. We've lived as no other people have lived and loved. We've had as much of this world as you're going to get. Let's just be done with it. Let's be done with the agony of it. It's far, far harder to have to watch you every day die slowly. And from the time you're a child to the time you get gray, you're dying. Dishonest, and I'm sure that they'll pay for it. They'll pay for it. This is a revolutionary suicide. This is not a self-destructive suicide. So they'll pay for this. They brought this upon us, and they'll pay for that. I leave that destiny to them. Who wants to go with their child has a right to go with their child. I think it's humane. I want to go. I want to see you go, though. They can take me and do with me whatever they want to do. I want to see you go. I don't want to see you go through this hell no more. No more, no more, no more. We're trying. If everybody will relax. The best thing you do to relax, and you'll have no problem. You'll have no problem with the thing if you just relax.
And I'd just like to thank Dad for giving us life and also death. And I appreciate the fact, the way our children are going. Because, like Dad said, when they come in, what they're going to do to our children, they're going to massacre our children. And also the ones that they take captured, they're going to just let them grow up and be dummies like they want them to be, and not grow up to be a socialist like the one and only Jim Jones. So I'd like to thank Dad for our opportunity for letting Jonestown be not what it could be, but what Jonestown is. Thank you, Dad.
It's not to be feared. It is not to be feared. It's a friend. It's a friend. You're sitting there. Show your love for one another. Calm, let's get calm, let's get calm. To us, we had nothing we could do. We can't separate ourselves from our own people. For 20 years laying in some old rotten nursing home. With respect, die with a degree of dignity. Lay down your life with dignity. Don't lay down with tears and agony. There's nothing to death. It's like Max said, it's just stepping over into another plane. Don't be this way. Stop this hysterics. This is not the way for people who are socialists, communists to die. No way for us to die. We must die with some dignity. Soon we'll have no choice. Now we have some choice. You think they're going to allow this to be done and allow us to get by with this? Must be insane. Children, it's just something to put you to rest. Oh, God. Mother, 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 please. Mother, please, 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 don't do this, don't do this. Lay down your life with your child, but don't do this.
best to you.
Free at last. Peace. Keep your emotions down. Keep your emotions down. Children, it will not hurt if you'll be quiet. If you'll be quiet. It's never been done before, you say. It's been done by every tribe in history. Every tribe facing annihilation. All the Indians of the Amazon are doing it right now. They refuse to bring any babies into the world. They kill every child that comes into the world because they don't want to live in this kind of a world. So be patient, be patient. Death is, I tell you, I don't care how many screams you hear, I don't care how many anguished cries. Death is a million times preferable to 10 more days of this life. If you knew what was ahead of you, you'd be glad to be stepping over tonight. Death is common to people. In the Eskimos, they take death in their stride. Let's be dignified. If you quit telling them they're dying, if you adults would stop some of this nonsense, adults, I call on you to stop this nonsense. I call on you to quit exciting your children when all they're doing is going to quiet rest. I call on you to stop this now. If you have any respect at all, are we black, proud, and socialist, or what are we? Now stop this nonsense. Don't carry this on anymore. You're exciting your children. All over, and it's good. No sorrow that it's all over. I'm glad it's over. Hurry, my children, hurry. All I say, does not fall into the hands of the enemy. Hurry, my children. Hurry. The seniors out here that I'm concerned about. Hurry. I don't want to leave my seniors to this mess. Quickly. Sisters, good knowing you. No more pain now. All can do them is all they're doing is taking a drink to go to sleep. That's what death is, sleep. I'm tired of it all. He doesn't want to tell me all he's doing. If they will tell him, assure these children. Can some people assure these children of the relaxation of stepping over to the next plane? We've set an example for others. We've set 1,000 people who say we don't like the way the world is. Please stop. Take our life from us. We laid it down. We got tired.
As more temple members died, eventually the guards themselves were called in to die by poison.
We didn't commit suicide. We committed an act of revolutionary suicide, protesting the conditions of an inhumane world.
Jones was found dead, lying next to his chair in the pavilion, between two other bodies, his head cushioned by a pillow. His death was caused by a gunshot wound to his left temple that Guyanese chief medical examiner Leslie Mutu stated was consistent with being self-inflicted.
It's a piece are valuable, and we've got lots of bananas. The workers just love them, so that helps to cut down on wage. And then when they get a little spoiled, we turn them into the pigs for feeding purposes. This is the hammer mill, and makes our feed. And over here is the shaker, and what's the corn sheller? Corn sheller. And all these are our youngsters. You know, they're all happy. Look at Tommy. Go back to the States?
No.
No way. I can't get you to go back to the States?
No.
He says he won't go back. Obviously, that's the general attitude. And Kevin, is it the pigs that he and David look at? Bananas. Oh, that's right. I get myself straight. Kevin Grubbs looks after the bananas. Do you want to go back to the States, Kevin?
Oh,
can't get you to go back? What about you, Vincent? You've only been here a day. How do you feel about it?
no, I wouldn't want to go back.
And I see that Tommy, he looks like he's very contented. You want to go back, Tom?
No.
You all happy? You here? You happy, Tom?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. David, he's doing a good job. He's in charge of the piggery. Kevin's in charge of bananas. I don't want to go back either. Nobody wants to go. Everybody's happy down here. You can see that that's an obvious fact. Little pigs that the farm supervisor, a socialist manager of the entire farm region, gave to us. He's going to give us a nanny to go along with the goat. Here to my left. Bananas?
Yes.
He does. You send him out about a half day to roam. Trees standing. We are, they're dying, but we are purposely allowing that. This is marketable lumber, very expensive lumber. The tree's back with foliage, of course.
It's foliage. Foliage. That's what I said. Foliage.
There's a man born out of due season. Just like we all are, the best testimony we can make is to lose it. It's simple. It's just simple. Just please get it before it's too late. You got to move. You got to move.
Y'all gotta move. Now you people that are standing there in the aisle, you get back behind this table. And then back this way, okay?
Mother, please. If you knew what was ahead of you, if you knew what was ahead of you, you'd be glad to be stepping over.
There is nothing to worry about. Now everybody keep calm and try to keep the children calm, okay? Now you children, I want you to lug up those little children and start administering them. They're not crying out of any taste. It's only a little bitter tasting.
Nothing to cry about. This is something that we can all rejoice about. I have had a gorgeous life. I've had a beautiful life. So you should be happy. I know I am.
God Almighty. I don't care how many screams you hear. I don't care how many cries of anguish. Death is 1,000,000 times preferable than 10 more days in this life. I strongly maintain this world as you're gonna get. Look out there. They'll torture our seniors. They'll torture our children. We cannot have this. Please, can we hasten? Can we hasten with our medication? Please, please.
Do I have to, Dad?
Yes, my son. I'll find you in the next world. Death is like forever. Hurry, children, hurry, hurry, hurry. 1,000 people who said, we don't like the way the world is. Take our life from us. We laid it down, got tired.
In the early evening of November 18th, at the Temple's headquarters in Georgetown, Temple member Sharon Amos received a radio communication from Jonestown instructing the members at the headquarters to take revenge on the Temple's enemies and then commit revolutionary suicide. After police arrived at the headquarters, Sharon escorted her children, Leanne, 21, Krista, 11, and Martin, 10, into a bathroom. Wielding a kitchen knife, Sharon first killed Krista and then Martin. Then Leanne assisted Sharon in cutting her own throat, after which Leanne killed herself. Jones's sons, Stephen, Tim, and Jim Jr., eventually found them dead after they arrived at the Temple headquarters in their efforts to return to Jonestown to stop the suicide. They and other members of the Jonestown basketball team had been away in Georgetown, where they played an exhibition match against the Guyanese national team.
I hit the deck, I lie face down. I have my arm over my head, basically, as though you go to sleep with a baby, you know. One arm, my right arm was on my head like this, my left hand was this, and my face is pushed against, kissing the floor as close as possible. I don't want to move because I know they keep shooting. And next thing I heard, they walking towards us, one of the men. And somehow, one shot hit Bob Brown in the leg, I believe. I don't know what part of the body. He screamed, ouch! And caused shit or something, I don't know what he did. And next thing I know, the guy came close and blew his brain off. And next thing I know, I say, oh, next one be me who get killed, right? So I just didn't think about it. I just think about my little daughter. The next thing I know, I have tremendous pressure, explosion right next to my head, and my arm just feel like falling apart. But I won't dare to move one single muscle. That saved my life. I guess the real saved my life is because my arms is ahead of my head. So the bullet missed the brain and hit my arms instead, and I didn't move, and the blood is all over the place. So they thought I probably dead.
At the airstrip, San Francisco Examiner reporter Tim Reederman photographed the aftermath of the shootings. Dwyer assumed leadership at the scene, and at his recommendation, Larry Layton was arrested by Guyanese police. Dwyer was grazed by a bullet in his buttock during the shootings. It took several hours before the 11 wounded and others in their party gathered themselves together. Most of them spent the night in the Port Kaituma Cafe. The more seriously wounded slept in a small tent at the airstrip. A Guyanese government plane arrived the following morning to evacuate the wounded.
This is a Channel 7 News Scene special report with our continuing coverage of the People's Temple story and the murder of Congressman Leo Ryan. Now with the latest details, Van Amberg and Marcia Brandwin.
Good evening. Here's what's happening. We're interrupting our special broadcasting to bring you this special report, a News Scene news break on the People's Temple mass suicides in Guyana and the murder of Congressman Leo Ryan. I would mention to you now, tonight's movie will run in its entirety immediately following this special report. I also have to warn you as we begin this special report that what you're about to see almost defies description, and some of you may not want to watch it. As soon as these pictures from Jonestown cleared our newsroom, everybody, even a lot of hardened news people, reacted in horror and disbelief. The word on everybody's lips was shades of Auschwitz. These are the first pictures out of Guyana on the incredible orgy of death that took place in the People's Temple Agricultural Mission at Jonestown. This is picture number 1. This picture was taken from up high. It shows what the mass suicide looks like when over 400 cultists who believed in everything that Jim Jones said took their own lives. Now, this picture was taken by an Associated Press photographer who was the first one back in there after the mass suicide murders. As you can see, bodies are strewn all over the place. This is inside one of the mission buildings. The bodies are laid out almost like everybody took the poison and then picked a place to be still somewhere until the poison took effect. The bodies are together in most of the places. This is a picture. One of the victims has an arm over another person's shoulder. Also in this picture, you will see to the right, in the bottom of this picture, there is a man standing. And if we'll pan to that, right there at the man's feet is a dog, the form of a dog. That dog was also fed the cyanide poison, and that dog then died along with the others. That's a Guyanese man with a gas mask on looking at the absolute devastation of human life that took place inside Jonestown. Now, we have more of the death scenes. The chair you're about to see, there on the right, in the lower right side of your picture, that's the back of a chair. That is the chair, the so-called throne chair, that was used by People's Temple leader Jim Jones. And over the chair on the stage in the middle of the compound is the sign, "Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it." Even when you know it's so, even when you see it, as we're seeing it right now, it is still unbelievable. While we're looking at the destruction of human life there, we are also getting word in from the State Department at this moment that there's more incredible news coming in, that at least 14 people survived that mass slaughter at Jonestown, and they have just now crawled out of the dense jungle surrounding the People's Temple compound, where 405 other people were found dead.
Make an aisle, please. Make an aisle. Go back, please. Move it back. Make an aisle. Could we talk to you, gentlemen? Palm straight out. All our coming to the main court. We've got a macro there.
How you feeling?
Call him Mike. Tell you later. I don't want to say no comment right now. This is personal. Can you say what you're going to tell me? I'm going to tell you the truth. Everything that happened.
You are going to testify?
We're all subpoenaed, so we'll talk whatever we know. Can you give us
your name?
No, I don't want to lie or anything.
I'm sorry?
I don't want to say anything right now. I lost 6 people. That's all I wish to say.
What relation were they to you?
I lost my mother, Pauline's. I lost my brother, 21. I lost another brother, 24. I lost my wife. I lost a child that was 2 years old, and another child, yes, and another child that was 7 months.
7-month-old child?
What regrets do you have, if any, about the whole experience?
Were you in Georgetown at the time?
I was in Georgetown at the time.
Were you on the basketball team?
No, I wasn't on the basketball
Why were you in Georgetown as opposed to Jonestown?
Well, I was taking care of medical people who had teeth work, medical work done in Georgetown.
When did you get word on your losing your family? How?
Never any inkling that such a thing would happen, a mass suicide?
Everything seemed to be going so well that I just can't believe it.
What's your name?
Thank you.
Right down the stairs.
Okay.
During the mass suicide, but I just tell them as I saw it that the children were like blossoming there. They were just doing beautifully, and they were so bright, and seniors were well taken care of, and the doctors checking on the children all the time. It just I don't know what it is that went wrong, but when it was functioning, when I was there, it was the most beautiful experience for any of the children.
What are you going to do now?
I don't know. It's going to be hard to get a job, I would think.
Would you think about
know.
living in the temple again?
No.
Why not?
As far as I know, the temple's being disbanded, and so I don't really know. See, we've been in Guyana for all this time. I don't really know exactly what's going on. He would even be able to make an educated guess what's going to happen from this point on.
How long had you been in Georgetown as opposed to Jonestown?
About 2 months.
You had moved into the house in Georgetown?
Right.
Do you have any idea what happened that night with Sharon Amos and all of that? Were you in that house?
No, I was out of the house the evening, and when I got there, the police were already there. So I don't know. Other than that.
Does being out of the house, do you think, saved your life?
No, because there were 46 of us who were, like in the area. I mean, in Jonestown at the time. 46 survivors besides Sharon and her family.
What do you think? What do you think of all these reports of hit squads? Is that possible?
No, I think right now there's been so much death and violence that nobody's interested in the least of having any more die in any area, no matter what's gone on in the past. No one. I think it's just really unreasonable to think that people have been through as much trauma as anyone associated with People's Temple right now would have anything involved with that. I think it's just an illusion or something. I think anybody who has sensitivity to see what we've been through would think that we wouldn't.
What do you want to do with your life now?
I've learned to have some commitment to something other than myself, and at this point I don't know what the next step is. I know I can't just live selfishly for myself, but I don't know really exactly what to go into.
Do you have family here in the Bay Area that you can live with?
Yeah, I have family here.
Can we get your name, please?
Laura Johnston.
Laura, L.A.
U-R-A.
U-R-A.
Stephen, and you love them, concerned about them. There's something like 400, maybe, roughly 350, I don't know, who are out somewhere in the bush. What are they likely to do? What is their what plan? Are they leaderless now? Will they have to sort of organize their own leadership? Are they capable of doing it? A lot of young people, old people.
Was there a contingency plan if something happened to go somewhere in the bush?
No, we never dreamed that this would happen. As for, I can only say what I would do. I mean, I would be scared. I would be scared to death, just as anyone else would be here. I mean, considering the circumstances. But I don't know how they'll react. He claimed he was afraid of nothing, which I know is bull. He's a very frightened man. He claimed that I don't know. He had no ego, which is the total opposite. He had one of the biggest egos I've ever seen in my life. But I think he was. That's another reason. I felt he did so much. I felt he feared for his life so much that he would never do anything like this.
914 of the 918 dead, including Jones himself, were collected by the United States military in Guyana, then transported by military cargo plane to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, a location that had been used previously for mass processing of the dead from the Tenerife airport disaster.
Is anybody heard of Tenerife? In 1977, 2 fully loaded 747s crash into each other on Tenerife. Way bigger than a 737, and we're talking about 2 of them. Nearly 600 people died in Tenerife.
The last shipment of bodies arrived early on the morning of November 27th, 1978. the base's mortuary was tasked with fingerprinting, identifying, and processing the bodies. The base's resources were overwhelmed, and numerous individuals tasked with moving or identifying the bodies suffered symptoms of PTSD. In August 2014, the never-claimed cremated remains of 9 people from Jonestown were found in a former funeral home in Dover. As of September 2014, 4 of their remains had been returned to next of kin, and the remaining 5 had not. Those 5 were publicly identified in the hope that family would claim their remains. All 5 remain unclaimed by family and have been interred at the Jonestown Memorial at Evergreen Cemetery in Oakland, California, along with the remains of approximately half of those who perished on November 18, 1978.
Just before dawn, a van carrying 50 victims arrived at Evergreen Cemetery. Inside, small pine boxes containing 45-inch steel caskets to be placed in cement crypts. These are the bodies of unidentified children. In place of names, just numbers on the boxes. This is the first of 248 unidentified followers to be buried here. Other cemeteries had refused. The containers were moved into the 60 by 80-foot mass grave, which will have a single marker. Relatives came to watch. Florence Brown's 4 grandchildren were never identified. She said they had to be here, somewhere. Council of Churches held brief services. Services they will repeat. 4 more van loads are scheduled here.
Spirit of the departed has returned to God, who gave it. We therefore commit the body to the ground, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, and dust to dust.
Larry Layton, who had fired a gun at several people aboard the Cessna, was initially found not guilty of attempted murder in a Guyanese court, employing the defense that he was, quote, brainwashed, unquote. Acquittal in a Guyanese court did not free Layton, who was promptly deported back to the U.S. and arrested by the U.S. Marshal Service upon arrival in San Francisco. Layton could not be tried in the U.S. for the attempted murders of Gosney, Bagby, Dale Parks, and the Cessna pilot on Guyanese soil, and was instead tried under a federal statute against assassinating members of Congress and internationally protected people, Ryan and Dwyer. He was convicted of conspiracy and of aiding and abetting the murder of Ryan and of the attempted murder of Dwyer. Paroled in 2002, he is the only person ever to have been held criminally responsible for the events at Jonestown. The Cult Awareness Network, CAN, a group aimed at deprogramming members of cults, was formed soon after the Jonestown deaths. The group, which included Congressman Ryan's daughter, Patricia, was involved in various personal, social, and legal battles with a range of religious organizations, from the Family International and Scientology.
Something happened to you.
I'm in love.
Have you ever felt this way before? You're gone. You are gone. You're not. You know, Katie once told 17 magazine.
To David Koresh's Branch Davidians, where they were found to be influential on law enforcement's concerns for children in the eventual Waco siege in 1993. After a slew of legal and fiscal issues, CAN went bankrupt in 1996. Although Jones used poisoned Flavor Aid, the drink mix was also commonly, mistakenly, referred to as Kool-Aid. This has led to the phrase, drinking the Kool-Aid, referring to a person or group holding an unquestioned belief, argument, or philosophy without critical examination.
any sense that that privilege has isolated and put you in a cave to a certain extent as it put me, and I think lots of white privileged people, in a cave, and that we have to work our way out of it to understand the anger and the pain particularly black people feel in this country.
No, you really drank the Kool-Aid, didn't you? Listen to you, wow. No, I don't feel that at all.
He was ridiculing me for reflecting what the whole movement after George Floyd is.
That sounds like a gunshot.
Brainwashed in our childhood, brainwashed by the school, brainwashed by our teachers, and brainwashed by all their rules, brainwashed by our leaders, by our kings and queens, brainwashed in the open and brainwashed behind the scenes. God, God, God. Our voice cries in the wilderness. God, God, God. It was on the longest night. God, God, God. An eternity of darkness. God, God, God. Someone turned out the spiritual light. Brainwashed by the Nikkei, brainwashed by Dow Jones, brainwashed by the FTSE, NASDAQ and secure loans, brainwashed us from Brussels, brainwashing us in Bonn, brainwashing us in Washington, Westminster, in London. God, God, God. You are the wisdom that we seek. God, God, God. The lover that we miss. God, God, God. Your nature is eternity. God, God, God. You are existence, knowledge, bliss.
The soul does not love, it is love itself. It does not exist, it is existence itself. It does not know, it is knowledge itself. How to Know God, page 130.
They brainwashed my great uncle, brainwashed my cousin Bob. They even got my grandma when she was working for the mob. Brainwash you while you're sleeping, while in your traffic jam. Brainwash you while you're weeping, while still a baby in your prime. Brainwashed by the military, brainwashed under duress. Brainwashed by the media, you're brainwashed by the press. Brainwashed by computer, brainwashed by mobile phones. Brainwashed by the satellite, brainwashed to the bone. God, God, God. Won't you lead us through this mess? God, God, God. From the places of concrete. God, God, God. Nothing's worse than ignorance. God, God, God. I just won't accept defeat. God, God, God. Must be something I forgot. God, God, God. Down on bullshit avenue. God, God, God. We could only stop the rot. God, God, God. Wish that you'd brainwash us too.